Hello and welcome to the Comic Conspiracy, episode 428 for the week of November 19th, 2019. My name is Ryan Higgins. Who's here with me this week?
Brock Sager.
Kevin.
And Charlie.
That would be Toby over there. Kevin number 2. We like to
Toby's
call him.
literally looking the other direction.
We like to call him Toby. That's fine. Toby's got basketball to watch. It's all right. He's going to be distracted for another 10 minutes on the clock, or
10 minutes.
Or 10 human minutes.
About 30 minutes, probably.
Okay, yeah, sure. 10 minutes on the clock, so we'll get about
We'll
all
see
the way
when
through this podcast.
yeah,
The game
It's
will
at
still be going.
9:39 now, so
Okay.
probably like 25 minutes.
Okay, that's fine.
I'll come back.
How are your boys in blue doing?
Good today.
Nice.
Usually not so good.
Nice. You're wearing the beanie and everything.
Yep.
All right.
Spider-Man, does whatever a spider can. Spins a web any size, catches thieves just like flies. Look out, here comes the Spider-Man.
Hi, we're here now with ScreenCrush.com editor-in-chief Matt Singer, who's also the author of Marvel's Spider-Man, From Amazing to Spectacular, a new book from Insight Editions about the history of, well, Spider-Man.
Oh, I thought it was Superman. I totally... Sorry. Close.
Spoiler, Spider-Man. Matt, thanks for joining us.
Oh, my pleasure.
So we wanted to start off just asking you, as we do with the guests that we typically talk to, is give us a little, before we get to the book, what was your secret origin as a comics reader? What were the first books that you remember reading, comics, or your favorite characters when you first were old enough to have formed taste of favorites?
Well, I'm not just saying it because of the book, but it definitely was Spider-Man was my first comic book love. It really started for me. It started with the Electric Company. Really, him being on the Electric Company even before I could read.
Nice.
I loved his appearances on the Electric Company as a very, very small kid, and I didn't really grow up reading comics super obsessively until I was about 12 years old. I would get them here or there at the grocery store or at the drugstore or whatever, but it wasn't the kind of thing. I didn't collect comics. I didn't go to the comic book store or anything like that until around that age, 12 years old. 12, 13 was when I really became obsessed, and it was with Spider-Man. My dad was a comic book reader when he was a kid. He was born in the 50s, and so he was really at the heights of his comic fandom in the 60s. So he was, he remembers buying Fantastic Four #1. He remembers buying Amazing Spider-Man #1. Now, my grandmother threw out most of those comics.
Oh, the classic story.
Yes, the classic story. She didn't throw out all of them. He gave me. I still have the ones that he rescued and saved. Most of the most valuable ones didn't seem to make it, but I have a bunch. I have a nice stack, which is very cool. But he always had a soft spot for comics, even though he wasn't reading them when I was a kid. And I'm going to guess he must have read an article in the New York Times or somewhere about the fact that it was 1992 was the 30th anniversary of Spider-Man. And he was like, hey, they're doing a cool – and he knew I liked Spider-Man from the cartoons and all that. And he said, hey, they're doing special issues of Spider-Man for the 30th anniversary. We should go get one. So – I don't even think the comic book store in my area had opened yet, the one that I would end up going to. So we went to the video store in my town that had a big comic book section, this place called Easy Video, which was the coolest video store still to this day, outside of maybe the famous New York City video store, Kim's Video, that I worked in for for a year or so, that I'd ever been in. And they had a huge comic book section, and they had Amazing Spider-Man, I believe it's 365, which was the 30th anniversary issue, which has this like goofy hologram cover on it.
Yeah.
And which I, at the time, as I guess 12 years old or 11 years old, I thought that was the greatest thing I'd ever seen in my entire life. And I loved the story inside, David Michelinie and Mark Bagley, and And that was it. I was hooked. I read that issue over and over and over again, and then I bought the next one and the next one, and that was really the beginning of that really takes us to now. I don't go to the comic book store as much as I used to. I have 2 kids. I just don't have the time and the money to do it, but I still read. I still read as much as I can, mostly on the Marvel Unlimited app.
Oh yeah,
that would be the origin of not only of how I started becoming a comic book reader, but I guess the origin of the book too, because that was Spider-Man was the character that I always loved.
Now, have you followed like the TV shows and movies and everything as they've kind of exploded over the last decade or so?
Oh, for sure, yeah, definitely. I mean, I haven't seen the TV shows are harder to keep up with.
Yeah.
I've certainly seen every Spider-Man movie many times. The cartoons I haven't seen all of. There's just so many of them. I was noticing that a bunch of them, I'm not sure if all of them, but a lot of them are on Disney Plus. So I've actually watched a couple of episodes of some of the shows that I had never watched before just this week. I was watching I don't even know if it was Ultimate Spider-Man or the most recent one that's I think just called Spider-Man, but they had a Spider-Verse miniseries.
Yeah.
And I was curious about checking that out. So I started that a couple of days ago on Disney Plus, and I was really enjoying it, actually. I thought it was a really good show. So yeah, definitely seen all the movies. Partly my day job is writing about movies, so I don't have much choice about that. But I would be watching them anyway. But yeah, the TV shows, I can't pretend that I'm a completist there. But when I have the chance, I still enjoy watching them.
Well, I feel like I do watch almost all of them, and even there's a few where I'm like, no, I don't have time for all of these, never ending at this point. With the animated series, I know Sony still has the movie rights, but I think they gave all the animation rights back to Disney, and so yeah, they've had like kind of an ongoing series of different series between Ultimate Spider-Man and Web Warriors and Spider-Verse and whatever the current one is. I think it's all kind of technically the same series, but they like rename it every other year or so. It gets very confusing. I've only seen a handful of episodes. The early ones were definitely a little kiddier, but I think they've aged up a little bit with the more recent seasons. So yeah, that Disney Plus app's gonna fill in a lot of holes, especially in the animation stuff that I haven't seen from the Marvel cartoons, because there's quite a few that I never saw start to finish. So
yeah, they have a lot of good stuff on there. They have all the stuff from my childhood.
Yeah.
And some of the new stuff. So yeah, I mostly have it for my children, but that's maybe that's a convenient excuse.
I have 2 kids too. It's not for them. It's for me.
Yeah, they love The Mandalorian.
Yeah. As we segue into the book, Matt, real quick, as a longtime fan and as somebody who, for your day job, has to digest all of this, who is your favorite screen Spider-Man?
Oh, good question.
That's a tough question. I have I could probably make an argument for any of them, even Andrew Garfield, who I did not really like his movies very much, but I thought was a pretty good Spider-Man and did some things well. I think the interesting thing is that, there's been these different series, and in each one you have kind of a different, like each Spider-Man was good. Each actor was good at different things. Like Tobey Maguire, I thought was he's a very relatable Peter Parker. He suffered. He was a very good Sam Raimi protagonist too. Sam Raimi loves to have actors that he can just beat the crap out of and really put through the ringer and torture. Sometimes comedically, sometimes less so. And Tobey Maguire was just very good at you just felt the weight of the world on his shoulders. The way that he kind of suffered was really perfect, both for a Sam Raimi movie and also for Spider-Man, because there's a lot of suffering in Spider-Man. Really, let's be honest. Andrew Garfield, he had kind of like I said, I'm not the biggest fan of the movies themselves. I don't think they're very good. I definitely think they're the weakest of the 3 series. But, I thought he was great with Emma Stone, and he had kind of that, like that John Romita matinee idol Spider-Man down pretty well, actually, He's a good-looking guy, that Andrew Garfield, that hair and the eyes, he filled a certain type of Spider-Man pretty nicely. And Tom Holland, I think, has a wonderful kind of innocence and sweetness to him. Even though he's getting a little older now, he brought this great youthful energy to the character that even in the first Tobey Maguire movie, Tobey Maguire, I think, was already like in his late 20s when he's playing, high school student Peter Parker. He just doesn't read like a young, innocent kid. And that's something that I think Tom Holland does really well. And I guess that doesn't even count the Spider-Verse movie, which I think might be the best, probably is the best of all of them. And, like the middle-aged dad bod Spider-Man, I think is sadly an all too relatable figure to me. I think that was it Jake Johnson was the voice, I believe. So I think we have to also acknowledge him as well as a really excellent Peter Parker.
It's funny with Emma Stone. I kind of almost wonder if Disney's like, can we just bring her in? Like, it doesn't matter if, because they cast such big actors to these movies now. Like, I kind of almost wonder if they're like, she was wasted, but we can find a way to bring her back. It's fine. Spider-Verse, just have her come over.
Hey.
Yeah. I still remember seeing that first Spider-Man movie in the theater, and I'd been working at the shop for a number of years at that point, and thinking, I loved X-Men. I thought X-Men was fantastic when it came out, but Spider-Man was the one where I said things have changed. The Sam Raimi one, right? Like we now. This is basically like Superman the motion picture, right? I mean, this is the '89 Batman. This is the next generation of that, and those Spider-Man movies were so important to everything, right? Yeah. That happened. I think,
except for 3.
Well, hey, there's a few elements in 3 that, as a Sam Raimi fan, I can appreciate the goofiness of some of those scenes. Trust me, I'm okay with them. I'm getting a look here.
The dancing in the street scene.
I love that scene. It's so funny. But I mean, those Spider-Man movies were so important.
Committed to his favorite.
Well, they're all his favorite. So with the book, what's your kind of how did you get approached for this? Like, what was kind of what's the origin of the book, and how do you kind of research this? Because it's
in depth.
Yeah.
The origin of the book is I had done a smaller project for the publisher, a couple of essays in a book that they had published, and I have been wanting to write something, write a book for a long time, and I certainly had some ideas of my own. But I just kind of on a lark one day, I just kind of reached out to the editor rather that I had worked with on that other project, and said, because he had said, it went well, and he was like, let's keep in touch. Have you ever wanted to write a book? Maybe we'll do something together at some point. And so I reached out to him and said, I'd love to do something. I have some ideas, or maybe you have, because Insight does a lot of licensed books. So I thought maybe they might, have a book that might I might be qualified to write. So I emailed this guy, and he said, well, I don't have anything right now, but one of the other editors at the company is looking for someone, and by any chance, do you like Spider-Man? So, like you couldn't –
Kismet.
It really was. I mean, like I don't think I've ever answered an email faster, in my entire life. And, then I had to, sort of have not really meetings, but like phone calls and all sorts. I had to basically audition almost for the role of writing the book because we were already working on it. And eventually I passed the tests, and that was it. That was how it started.
So since we're on audio, I'll have to describe it for people listening. This is essentially like a coffee table book, an illustrated book of the history of Spider-Man. So Matt, for you, did you play a part in assembling the visual materials, or was that something that Insight had been doing, and then you put the words to kind of build the scaffolding?
I was very, very involved. I didn't pick out every image, but I certainly picked out the vast majority. And everything was kind of done with me and the editor, Holly Fisher, at Insight. We together, the two of us, kind of did the whole thing. And the way the images would work is, I did sort of the research. I mean, I had already done decades of research on my own, fortunately. But then, really kind of dug in and read some things I had never read, reread a lot of the things that I loved or felt I didn't remember all that well. And like while I was doing that, kind of taking a lot of notes on the stuff that might be good to include, and then thought about all that as I was writing the manuscript. And then when the manuscript was done, then we kind of assembled together the final list of images, where I put together a list and Holly put together a list, and then we kind of blended the two together. And there was a lot of overlap in a lot of cases, but we just kind of blended the two together to come up with, the final list of things that would go in the book.
Now, how long did that take to from the start of you writing it to that turning in that first manuscript?
It did not take long. It was not long enough. I think let's see what the date is. November 19th. So probably I think I had just gotten the job a year ago now, and or maybe at the beginning of the month, I guess. Maybe I'd been working on it for a couple of weeks. I definitely didn't have it by Halloween, because I remember having a phone call or an email with the editor about it on Halloween, because I was dressed as Halloween, and one of my daughters I was dressed as Spider-Man for Halloween, excuse me, and one of my daughters was also dressed as Spider-Man for Halloween. And I remember sending a picture to the editor, just shamelessly being like, "Look, how could you find someone better to write this book than me? Look at what I'm wearing on Halloween. Look at what I forced my daughter to wear on Halloween."
Now, did that picture end up in the book?
That picture is not in the book, but it's probably on my Instagram account somewhere. I bet if you look back a year ago, Halloween. So I got the job a little bit after that. So it was probably early November. So maybe I've been so early November, and then the first draft was due, I think, either the very end of January or the very beginning of February. So not a lot of time to do the whole thing. And then there was additional drafts, there was rewriting, and the pictures and stuff, assembling the list of pictures, that all came after the first draft. But it was, it was probably, the whole process was like maybe 6 months from beginning to end.
It's a lot of comics to read.
That is a lot of comics to read. Yes. I spent a lot of, yes, that actually was a thing that happened in my house. Leave me alone. I'm reading my comics. This is for work.
So for books like this, how involved is Marvel and Disney kind of in this sort of, you guys sort of left your own devices, and did they just kind of give like an they kind of check it off at the end, or are they like super involved?
In the case, I mean, I can't speak to how involved they are with every book. In the case of my book, they had to, they signed off on me writing the book. And when my editor and I were happy with the manuscript, then we sent it to them, and, they had some notes, certainly, that we had to address. But really, I mean, you hear, well, you're writing a book about Spider-Man and it's not necessarily for Marvel. They didn't publish it directly, but like they approve it ultimately.
Right.
And you do, you do kind of go, well, what can I say what I want? Are they going to get upset if I, make a joke about the Clone Saga? How is this going to go?
No,
and
don't apologize for that ever.
Yeah. And I mean, so that was something that I was a little bit kind of nervous about, but actually, it was very, very, very smooth. It went, I mean, from my end, I really couldn't have been much happier. There was one or two very minor things. Yeah. And it was more along the lines of, can we add more of this? Which I could have written, twice as long a book. I mean, it's a big book. If you've got a copy of it, you can attest. It's a large book, but, cramming 57 years of Spider-Man history into that book is, the hardest part by far wasn't what I wrote or it was, what not to write, what not to include, and how do you cut things out. So anytime someone, either the editor or Marvel was like, can we put more about Spider-Gwen? My response was, yes, thank you. Absolutely. All of the sidebars that are in the book, there's a bunch of sidebars in a bunch of the chapters where, a character like a Spider-Gwen or a storyline or something will get like a 2-page kind of little spotlight. that was me, like that wasn't originally in the outline of the book. That was just me being like, how about we add these to kind of squeeze in some extra stuff, because it's just getting too hard to include everything within the narrative that we're writing, and it would just be better and easier and more comprehensive for a book that's about the history if we can just kind of fit these things in, give them the spotlight they deserve, give them a little extra time. And so yeah, that's how those got in there as well. But yeah, working with Marvel was I was a little worried, but I thought it went terrific.
You need to talk to Toshin and do one of those like $200 gigantic 1,000-page oversized hardcovers. If you've ever seen those,
I have a couple of them.
All about Spider-Man.
Yeah, Toshin. If they want to get in touch, they can find me. I'm ready. Put me in, Coach. I'm ready to play.
We've talked about on the podcast a number of times about how Disney, Marvel does Marvel comics, obviously, and Star Wars comics, and IDW reprints a bunch of the European, like the modern European Donald Duck and Mickey Mouse cartoons. Fantagraphics is doing the Donald Duck reprints. So they have all.
IDW has the kids Star Wars.
Yeah, they have all these other companies that they work with. So they clearly. They're okay. I mean, Disney's done this forever, right? They're okay licensing their products out. So it's always interesting to hear kind of the behind the scenes of, how it is to work with them, because you feel like, yeah, Disney is just this massive company, and you kind of wonder, like, how close do they get to these projects when they're outside there?
Human beings, or are they dealing with lawyers?
Well, yeah, but I figure they've got enough at this point. They know what they're looking for. They've got enough expertise.
And look, like, it's a book about Spider-Man, and it's authorized, so they're certainly within their rights to be like, oh, we don't want you to say this or that or that. There was I don't think I got a single note like, you can't say this about this, you can't write about that, you can't, please be nicer to the Clone Saga. Like, I didn't get. I'm almost positive, like, I didn't get a single note like that. Like, the book is very much like, if they hadn't been involved, the book, in terms of like what I would have said about Spider-Man, I don't think it would have been any different, really. I mean, it wasn't like I was being told what to say. Like, it really is like what I wanted to say about Spider-Man and the history of Spider-Man, and it was, and they were cool with it, which is great.
Well, since you had to read, and kind of examine the entire history of Spider-Man, was there a story arc, or maybe a character you didn't really know a lot about before that now, kind of through this research, sort of has jumped out to you, or a story maybe that you like a lot more than you remember, or anything that's even worse than you remember? How is that Clone Saga, reading it again?
The Clone Saga, it's an easy joke. I've made it all. I've already made jokes using it as the punchline on this podcast a couple times. But I think the Clone Saga, to some extent, gets a bad rap.
We were all reading it that time, so trust me, we were all okay with it, I think.
So was I. I think, yeah. I mean, I think the real issue, and there's a whole chapter about it in the book, and we discuss it in the book. I interviewed a bunch of the people involved with it, and and they were very open about it, and I included as much of their kind of comments as I could in that chapter. It's just like it was I think a victim of its own success, in the sense that it started off kind of interesting and it was selling pretty well, and whoever the sales team, the marketing team at Marvel, whoever it was, basically told the editors, you can't stop, you got to keep making it. And so they just they acquiesced, and they kept publishing more and more, and they didn't end it. And you can feel that when you rereading it, I could feel it, like, oh, okay, it's over. Oh, nope, it's still going. Oh, now it's over. They've decided, no, still going, still undecided. And you could feel that kind of series. It has more endings than The Return of the King. It just keeps ending and ending and ending. And so I think there were good things in it. It's just a story that dragged on way too long and wore out its welcome. In terms of a story that or a character or something that I was maybe more pleasantly surprised by, I'm trying to think. I mean, the example I've given before, and it's probably because like it honestly was I would say it was the most like pleasant surprise, partly because I hadn't read the whole thing, and I don't know, it's not a run of the book that's like widely regarded as like a classic series. You know, it's not Stan Lee and Steve Ditko or John Romita. It's not Jerry Conway and Ross Andrew. It's not like, you know, it's not the ones that get kind of talked up the most. But I really enjoyed reading and rereading the Tom DeFalco and Ron Frenz issues, starting with when Peter Parker comes back from the Secret Wars and he's got the black costume. And maybe it was just because I didn't have super high expectations for that period, but I actually thought those are really great Spider-Man comics. Like, they're not, other than the stuff with the costume, they're not like the most momentous. But they're, I don't know. I really like the character, how he's written there. That's the period where, you know, Mary Jane really comes back into the book, and she gets that. Basically that kind of revised or really the first time it was explored, like an origin story where we learn all this other stuff about her background and see that she kind of has a secret identity just like Peter Parker does. And, you know, there's all the stuff with I think that's like, you know, he's kind of struggling with trying to figure out what the heck to do with his life because he's kind of directionless at that time. So there's a lot of good stuff, and I think Ron Frenz's art is terrific. I think he's an underrated artist. So that would probably be the one that I would pick, just because, you know, like I expected rereading the first 100 issues. Well, I'm going to really enjoy these, and I did. And, you know, I loved Roger Stern's run, and I loved rereading those. And I'm a big fan of J. Michael Straczynski's run. There's a lot of great Spider-Man comics, but I guess those were the ones where I didn't expect a ton, and I think I was mostly rereading them because I wanted to make sure that the chapter that was about the costume and Venom and all that stuff was really, you know, detailed and had all the stuff it needed in it. And I found that I really, really enjoyed reading those comics, maybe more than I needed to for the book. I just didn't want to stop reading them. I was enjoying them too much.
Matt, are you thumbs up or thumbs down on the Spider-Mobile?
The Spider-Mobile, I think, is one of the concepts that I would probably have a hard time defending at too much length. I don't even think the people who created it really could justify it or defend it, really. I mean, in the book, it almost seems like within seconds of introducing it, they're like already making fun of it and trying to find ways to get rid of it and sinking it to the bottom of I don't know which river it was, but it was like pretty quickly written out of the book. The design is kind of fun. Like the design is kind of fun. And I recently saw that. I think, I don't know what company it is, or maybe it's just Disney. Like Disney has their own line of like toy box toys or something like that, and you can get them at the Disney store. And I saw that they made one of Spider-Man and the Spider-Mobile, and as a toy, it's like a really cool design. It looks really fun, but like, why would Spider-Man need a car? You know, it's like, it's absurd, and drive up walls and things. It's just, you know, it's not the most sound, logical concept, but visually it's appealing, at least.
It's for when he's in the suburbs. No high buildings. No high buildings. Yeah.
When he has to commute, yeah.
So is there, for people who might be interested in checking this book out, is there a preferred place that we should direct them as far as where to purchase it?
No, not for me. No, if whatever way you can get it, that's the best for you. If there's one website or store that has it on sale, or you want to support your local comic book shop, or, you know, however you want to do it, that's fine by me. I don't care. It doesn't make a difference to me.
Yep, and we'll definitely have copies here at the shop too. So I always like these the books about the comics, because a lot of the people that come into the store tend to be very, very knowledgeable about this stuff. But when we got a lot of more casual customers in, these books really sell to that audience because they don't have the encyclopedic knowledge that a lot of us have.
When Far From Home came out in Endgame and Infinity War, they started to do the magazines again.
Yeah,
they had like the regular like floppy, but they made them hardcover as well.
Yeah, we've done really well with those.
We sold really well with those just because they had, like you said, articles and information about
nice
the
history
material.
Of the characters. Yeah.
So, Matt, we know you're on East Coast time. We know you have a respectable day job and children, so we won't keep you much longer, but I just have to ask quickly, can you give us a shout-out here as far as your, I don't know what we want to call this, your eating project?
My eating disorder, is that really more accurate?
Where do you put it all?
What would you like to know? It's a very complex.
Well, so I was describing to the guys here off air what this was, and I don't even know that I quite fully could capture it in my own words. You travel to restaurants that feature a themed menu based around movies. Is that part accurate?
So far, yes, that's accurate.
Okay, I've seen this on Twitter for now. It feels like years.
Sadly, yes. It has been years.
So, what's the premise here? Was this a Screen Crush project? Is that how it started?
Yes. Yeah. So, I mean, there's there's no explaining this stupidity, but the way it started was, I work for this website, Screen Crush, and one year, a couple of years ago, we were having trouble. I guess whatever year the Fantastic Four, the terrible Fantastic Four movie came out.
I remember those was the Denny's meals, right?
Yes,
I remember seeing this.
Oh.
Yep.
Yes. So when I think that's 2015, maybe.
Yeah.
Whatever year that movie was, I was having trouble with my pass for San Diego Comic-Con, my press pass. There was some sort of issue, and it was looking like for a period that I wasn't going to get the pass. And my boss at the time was a little upset. I mean, whatever. But he was not happy. And this was, they had just announced this horrifying sounding Fantastic Four menu at Denny's, which involved a Thing burger, which was slathered with Thing sauce. It just the stuff of pure nightmares. So I jokingly said to my boss, look, if I can't get the pass, if it doesn't work out, as penance, I will go to Denny's and I will eat the entire Fantastic Four menu and I will write about it. And he said, well, that's a great idea. And in fact, it's such a great idea, I don't care if you get your press pass or not. You're doing that one way or the other. So that was how the first one happened. And unfortunately for me, it was like the most read article on the site in – if it wasn't the most read that month, it was like it was a huge, sadly, a huge hit. People really enjoyed. Yes, people enjoyed reading about my suffering, and so
I really need to know, how was that Doom lava cake?
To my as I recall, the Doom lava cake was fine. It was okay.
And you washed all of this down with that 4-fruit smoothie?
The smoothie was good, actually, as I recall. Yes, it was one of the few things that didn't feel like it was slowly killing me, so I welcomed it. Into my body.
You order all of the items,
correct,
at one sitting. It's not a drop in and sample one thing.
No, I mean, do I eat every morsel? No, because I would be dead. But I try to eat as much as I physically can without killing myself. And I don't get them all on the table at the same time. I eat one and then I order the next one. I sit there for hours. It's really embarrassing. You've never seen such confused looks on servers' faces as when you order a meal at IHOP and then say, actually, I'm going to get the Who roast beef omelet from the Grinch now, and they're like, what? Why would you do that? And there's no explaining it, as there's no explaining it here. But yes, I eat as whatever is on the menu. I do my level best to eat all of it. God help me. No, it's not. It's terrible.
No. His opening line on the article for that was, "I am an idiot."
Yes,
and makes it go read the article.
Yeah, no, I definitely did. Well, Matt, it was great having you on. Very, very excited. Check out Marvel's Spider-Man from Amazing to Spectacular. It's on sale. Like I said, we'll have copies here at the store as well, too. You can pick them on Amazon, wherever you want.
And where can people find your writing online?
Screencrush.com is the website, and you can read that all of those horrible food excursions. They're all there, and my Twitter account is @MattSinger if you want to follow me there as well.
Fantastic. Well, it was great talking to you. I'm very excited to check out the book.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
No problem.
Thanks, Matt.
Thanks.
He's ignored. Action is his reward to him. Life is a great big bang. Wherever there's a hang, you'll find a Spider-Man.
We have a whole bunch of stuff to talk about. And one thing in particular here, we have to start with the Snyder Cut. Oh, yes.
Yes, they broke you over the weekend.
The Snyder Cut. Now, let me pull up. For long-time listeners, you may remember Zack Snyder, director of
300.
Yes, but Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, and co-director on Justice League.
First director?
Yes, before he left the project due to family stuff. Definitely has his fans. A couple of them are sitting at this table. At least one of them sitting at this table.
Who's the fan?
Who's the fan?
Yeah.
Of Zack Snyder?
Yeah.
Me?
What?
Wait, hold on.
Well,
Hold on.
Wait, we didn't know that.
Is this news?
No, but I mean,
Can you come back to it in 9.9 minutes?
I'm a fan of Zack Snyder's filmmaking, just
Yeah.
not the scripts that he makes films
Sure.
from.
Okay.
So don't say it's not one fan.
Actually,
I'll add myself in.
I actually don't have anything
I
against
enjoy
the
some
guy.
of his movies.
I actually don't have anything against the guy.
I mean, I'm talking about the DC movies. I liked 300. I liked Dawn of the Dead. But yeah, I never saw Sucker Punch.
You didn't Watchmen?
Watchmen's okay. Yeah. Although the show's kind of making it maybe not matter anymore. But all that said, no, I'm a big fan of the DC movies, and I really like Justice League. So it has its problems. It has tonally, it has issues because it's two different directors of two different styles.
Why do you have to fight it so hard? And if there, look, not that there is or isn't. If there is, why are you on the internet fighting the cause?
Oh, is this Snyder Cut?
Yeah,
okay,
you're like, fuck the Snyder Cut.
So
It
here's-
doesn't exist, people.
so
It's the Easter Bunny and the fucking Santa Claus combined.
Right.
But what if there is? Who cares?
So here is the deal. For those that don't know, Zack Snyder left the project. There were scenes that were filmed, right? Obviously, the stuff that got cut. They edited a bunch of stuff around. Like, I'm not saying there isn't. There's obviously just cut stuff, right? He had written at least the first part of what was supposed to be a 2-part movie. But after Batman v Superman, it did financially very well, but it was critically just slammed, right? Warner Brothers seemed to say, we need to go in a different direction. So Justice League was already in production at this point. He left the project for personal reasons, and they said, we're going to really revamp this. It's not going to be 2 movies anymore. We're not going to kind of go with whatever the ending was supposed to be.
Well, I mean, that was already decided before he stepped away.
Right. They were already they were already changing what he wanted. So this mythical Snyder Cut doesn't exist because they didn't film.
How do you know for sure?
Do you think there's like an alternate hour of film out there?
Why not?
Like, done, ready to go?
Probably not done, but I could see them doing a Donner cut.
Okay, well,
So
yes.
I don't know if there's an hour of film,
Yeah.
but I do remember that Justice League went through a lot of reshoots.
Oh, I know.
They did a lot of reshoots, and there was a lot of, and Whedon even said that they
I
cut
wouldn't
down
even mind
drastically from
watching
what they
a
had.
Justice League movie, a different one. And I actually don't mind the one that came out. Sure, it could have been better, and I still enjoyed it.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't mind even watching a Wolverine version of it, where, like, the Wolverine version that I was
No
not
special
supposed
effects.
to see,
Yeah.
Wolverine version that I was not supposed to have seen, so I'm not admitted to anything.
Well-
that also had Transformers music in it, which was better than the actual music in the movie, which I also don't know nothing about. But I wouldn't mind watching a version of that, of Justice League. I have no problem with that.
Like I said, there was clearly stuff shot that
Yeah.
didn't make it into the film.
Yeah.
There was clearly some effects done for various CG scenes
I
because
also
we've
wouldn't
seen
mind watching a special edition where we get a bunch of, like, scenes, just as scenes, that
Right.
don't even have to be in the movie.
This is the problem with the Richard Donner cut of Superman 2. It's that it's terrible because it wasn't done, right? They had to shoehorn in a bunch of random. It's cool to see those scenes.
So if it's horrible, Ryan, why don't you just let the people have it? Then he could go, I'm right. Ha ha. I'm Ryan. Ha ha.
So what I'm trying to get to, taking a very long time to get here, is that people believe that there is this, like,
The Easter Bunny.
a whole other movie that Warner Brothers shelved, which is not the case. There is definitely cut footage, probably quite a bit of it, but not the vast majority of what this Snyder Cut is. It does not exist. There's just no question, right?
What if it's Daredevil versus Daredevil director's version?
I mean, okay,
That's big enough difference for me.
like one scene extra.
No, there's not one scene extra.
They cut out an entire character.
They cut out the entire court case.
Yeah.
One scene.
No,
extra.
it's not one scene.
I've seen it. Trust
no,
me. It's
no, I've seen it too.
better.
I'm gonna watch it with you, and I'll point out all the stuff that's different.
Toby lent you his copy so you would see it.
I know, and I watched
you didn't.
it.
No, you didn't.
Me and Seth watched it on New Year's
No,
Eve.
No, you did. Geese did not.
And we're
watch
both
it.
like, yeah, this is just as bad as
No. I'm gonna
Well, what I'm
strangle
saying
you.
is,
Toby, I'm in agreement with you about Daredevil.
what I'm saying is,
I know.
48 hours ago,
Me too.
48 hours ago, the Snyder Cut did not exist. Now, there's been some developments because over the weekend, both Gal Gadot and Ben Affleck, along with Zack Snyder, and now numerous people from Hollywood have started to tweet #release of the Snyder Cut.
You know, these
Now-
guys are all late because Momoa was doing it before everybody was doing it.
Momoa said he's seen some extra. Now, Momoa, I'm sure he sees a lot of stuff. Okay, it's all. I would not take his. I would question his memory on probably most things. Okay,
He might question yours too.
but
I do that every week.
there is a couple of things going on here. Okay, one.
The internet broke you. We got it.
There is these people are just so fucking goddamn annoyed at everyone tweeting them constantly 24 hours a day to release the Snyder Cut that maybe they're like, fucking finally, let's just lean into it so that people will leave us alone. That's one very distinct possibility. 2,
I like how you're riled up on this.
HBO Max is coming out.
Yeah.
If you want to sign up every goddamn sucker that uses this hashtag, if you want literally tens of thousands of just paid accounts day one, okay, we're going to release the Snyder Cut on HBO Max exclusive, right?
Won't
All
work
the
for me.
actors,
Won't work for me.
all the actors,
You sign up, I'll come to your house and watch
all
it.
the
then.
actors tweeting it at the same time, that's like intentional here, right? So, does this like extra hour and a half of footage or whatever it is, that's a whole new movie that ends with Dark Side and goes on to a sequel and blah blah blah, does this exist? No.
I think it's just
Right.
a different version, right? They're not arguing for another movie. It's just a different
No,
version.
there
of
was
the movie.
already a new script that Zack Snyder was working off
But
of.
they had-
They
Yeah.
never filmed to the
Right.
two-part
Correct.
movie.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, it's just a different version of the movie.
But and that's what I mean. It's not that much different than what came out. There's clearly extra scenes. The Dark Side is supposed to be in like a sequence, right? But I think at the end of the day, it is basically the same movie. But if they tag this as the Snyder Cut, they will force these people to buy this, to put their money where their mouth is, right? They're not going to release this theatrically because it won't make any money. It won't be.
No, it's not going to come out theatrical.
I could see a Fathom event.
Like a one-off.
Yeah.
And I am totally down with, like half-done special effects, animation to fill in gaps, other people doing voices, right? Like Doctor Who,
So
right? Because
you're paying me to go see this, right?
I'm paying you anything.
What?
I don't.
Where'd that come from?
It's not finished. I'm not going to go. I'm not paying to watch that.
You don't have to.
Yeah, then don't watch it.
I don't. I just do not believe that Warner Brothers is going to be like 20 more. We got all this Joker money now. We're going to throw 100 million more in and finish the Snyder Cut. We're doing this for real.
I don't see that
No,
happening.
I just don't see this happening. So I think best case scenario, we are going to get the Snyder Cut, and it's going to be. I mean, it's going to be fucking terrible, right? Again, I like the movies, but it's not done.
You think the Snyder Cut will be worse? Setting aside the special effects, is your theory that the Snyder Cut will be worse than the theatrical cut?
Well,
or is it just worse because it's not finished?
Because it's not finished. Okay. There is no, like I said, there is no finished film out there, or even near finished film. There's definitely there's animatics, there's random stuff that got cut. I'm not denying that, but there is not this completely different film out there that these people believe. Right, that is my argument.
The Snyder's Cut's not.
What if there was, and that's when Joss got brought in and going snippety snip, and we're gonna redo this part, this part, this part, and we're gonna Power Ranger this part and this part.
He definitely did, right? Again, but I don't.
So what if that version that got left behind was more finished than what you think it was? I'm not saying it is. I'm not arguing it. But what if it was?
Then I'm wrong. I'm
not. Look, I have no clue, right? I'm just pulling your strings a little bit.
I just do not believe that they got that far in.
Yeah,
and that this, like the Donner Cut, it is very interesting to watch, but it's a very poor film because it doesn't work because it wasn't finished. Right? Okay. Richard Donner had filmed a bunch of stuff for Superman 2 before he was let go on the project. He still did a good chunk of it, but they changed up a lot of stuff, and what they released, it's like, well, I would rather just have these scenes as a special feature. I wouldn't mind that either.
Yeah, shoving. I would like to see it at least.
Yeah, of course. I want to see everything they got cut out of Justice League. I absolutely do.
Yeah.
But again, it's not an hour or 80 minutes or whatever of extra footage. It's not a totally different movie. It's they added in jokes and some funny stuff. Trust me, some of those scenes I really dislike. Batman falling like a fucking turtle. A few of those scenes, fucking jettison. Don't get me wrong.
Falling like a turtle.
Yeah, some of those Whedon scenes are terrible. I like Joss Whedon and I like Justice League, but there are a couple really bad scenes in there, and you could tell they're his scenes. But I want to see what else they have. But a Snyder Cut is going to be just a mess. But it is crazy that these guys are actually talking about this now. So this has to be for HBO Max.
Okay.
There has to be, right?
To put you on the spot, if this was a one-time Fathom event theatrical showing, would you go?
Yeah. Oh, I'd totally go see it. Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
With the T-shirt.
The way you were talking made it sound like you would check it out if it was delivered to your home, but you wouldn't make an effort to go
I'd
see it.
absolutely go see it. I don't think they would have released
DC.
it. Yeah, I don't think they'd release it in the theater.
No, you're going to go to the Fathom event with the shirt that says #release the Snyder Cut, right?
No.
He's going to go with the shirt that says "Love Josh Whedon."
Yeah, there is no Snyder Cut.
You should do that. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
There is only the one cut.
No, like that documentary. Did they finish that one on
which one?
The Superman one? Did that come out?
I thought so. The one with
the death of Superman Lives.
Yeah,
that came out.
I really want to see that. Yeah. I would kill for a Snyder Cut documentary, behind the scenes shit, all the extra footage, because what a nightmare Warner Brothers must have been at that point, right? What an absolute goddamn disaster.
Well, didn't
so
Deathstroke?
You want a Heart of Darkness for Justice League?
Didn't the Magic Mike guy that's Deathstroke kind of came out and saying, if I could talk about it, I could write a whole book on what happened?
Oh, yeah. Oh, and trust me, I so want, what's his name? Yeah.
Joe, blah, blah, blah,
yeah.
Manganiello.
Yeah, Manganiello.
Okay.
Yeah. I
can't say that name.
would love him to come back as Deathstroke. I mean, we're there's 3 Deathstrokes right now. We have him in Arrow, we have him in Justice League, and we have him in Titans. And they're
do you like the Titans one?
Oh, he's amazing.
I like the kind of the quiet, creepy, more thoughtful
he's so good.
Deathstroke.
Yeah, he's fantastic. I don't know. I absolutely love him. So yeah,
you want a Heart of Darkness for Justice League?
I don't know what Heart of Darkness is.
I thought it was.
You've never seen Apocalypse Now?
I've never seen Apocalypse Now.
What?
No.
I thought it was funny.
Hearts of Darkness is the documentary.
I thought it was funny that they would cast Deathstroke in the DC Universe movies that looked like the Arrow version, only to make him look more like the comic book version.
Yeah. But I think I think all those versions of the Arrow version of Deathstroke's great. Yeah. I think they're all really good. I'll go see any of them. But yeah, of course I'd see it in the theater. Now, would you see it in the theater?
Hell no.
What, really?
Would you watch
I would go with you if you paid.
Oh, you're pulling a Brock.
I go with you if you paid.
Would you watch it on like if
Yeah,
it was
I
on like
would-
HBO Max or if I lent you
Yeah,
my
you would
password?
seriously not if
Okay, if it was on
Warner Bros.
DCU
made,
online.
Yes.
Yeah.
But if Warner Brothers went and through the effort and like actually have a release for it, you wouldn't go pay and watch it. I would.
Because I'm afraid it would be the Donner cut of
Yeah.
Superman 2. I'm afraid it would be a bunch of awkward scenes and
I'll watch
unfinished
anything.
things. And
See, I don't have the hatred you guys have for the
Yeah.
Donner cut. Like,
It's not hatred. I am happy that footage is out. It's just it doesn't work.
I agree that stuff doesn't work, but at the same time, when you kind of take that footage into account, it sets up a different.
Right. Which they didn't finish.
Yes.
So you have half the original
Well-
story and half the new story.
I kind of feel like they half finished it with Superman Returns. I'm not saying that was a great movie, but they did pick up on some of the threads.
I don't
from
hate the Donner
cut.
cut. I'm just I would have if I had seen it in a theater at theatrical price, I would have been very sad.
Yeah, I would.
That's
agree with
why
that.
I'm talking about the Snyder
I'd
cut.
much rather have 40 some odd minutes or 50 some odd minutes of different footage, right? I don't remember what the total number was, but it's a pretty significant difference. But I would rather have had that as a special feature, just the raw
'cause
scenes with
that-
minimal special effects.
that Hulk scene that they shoehorned into the end of what was it when they did the re-release for Stan's death?
For Endgame, yeah, you went and saw the special
I went and
edition.
saw the special, and it's like that's unfinished,
Yeah,
and
no,
it's like
I
it's
don't.
horrible looking, and it's just like yeah,
Yeah, no, I don't need that. Again, I, as like a bonus thing, yes, not to go into the
yeah.
theater.
If it was like I was in the deleted scenes, press play, okay, cool.
Yeah. Now, don't get me wrong. There's a possibility that, this thing could exist, right? It could. And maybe Warner Brothers is like, yeah, let's do it. Let's just finish it. Let's spend a shitload of money and actually finish this movie. Let's get the actors back. I mean, who knows? I just highly, highly doubt it.
To tie it back
That's the
into
first truth you said all night.
to tie it back into Watchmen, the TV show, which you mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
I believe Damon Lindelof's post, Instagram, maybe. I don't think he's on Twitter. Anyway, it said something like, I'm not saying that I have seen the Snyder Cut,
Yeah.
but if I had, I
Yeah,
would
yeah.
encourage the powers that be
Yeah.
to release the Snyder Cut.
Yeah. There's been a number of people talking about this, so
Momoa, man.
it's getting out there.
I'm with Momoa. I stand
out
with
there.
him.
People obviously want this, and so I would like
You
to
want
see.
it, but you don't want the fandom.
So okay.
No.
Just,
Go ahead.
just entertain the thought. What if it comes out? What if it's actually very, very well liked? What if it reignites the DC universe? And then all of a sudden they like jumpstart all these sequel movies to come back.
With Snyder.
Like
I mean,
Cavill
there's-
comes back as Superman 2.
Well-
Oh my god!
So you said Henry Cavill today
Yeah.
Said he's not done.
That he's not done.
Thank
Yeah,
you, Henry.
yeah.
Thank you.
So, I love him as Superman.
Yes.
I want to see them continue this.
Yes.
stuff.
I
Now,
want to see it too without the CG getting rid of the mustache.
I again, you guys have to rewind this podcast a couple of
We
years.
know you're the DC
I
fanboy.
love the DC Snyder movies. I just think it wasn't going to work in the long term. His vision for
Well, what's funny is if you look at
a connected universe.
if you look at Wonder Woman and you look at Aquaman, they kind of just
They acknowledge it, but
they kind of acknowledge, but it's like yeah, no, and then they keep going.
Sure. Which is fine. I mean, that's what the comic books do, right? The comic books are like, yeah, Superman's busy, whatever. I got to take care of this. I'm okay with that. They acknowledge the fight with the fight with what's his face from Justice League in Aquaman, right? He talks about it with Mera,
Steppenwolf?
with Steppenwolf. Yeah. But that is in the Snyder Cut. There's a big scene with Mera fighting along with them, right?
Oh,
And
yeah.
that's supposed to be one of like the big
Yeah.
sequences that they had some concept art for or something. So, I'm very curious what's going to happen. And do we have a date for HBO Max? Is it May? It's soon, right? It's
May
early
is
next
soon?
year.
I would like to amend my earlier
Thought it
comment.
was sooner than that.
We are like end of November.
Well,
I will go to the theater with you to watch the Snyder Cut, and I will pay.
Okay.
if all of the scenes added back in feature Henry Cavill with mustache. So it's a mix of mustache and
you're a
not.
Joker now.
No, I'm serious.
I mean, it's very possible. We've seen a couple shots of him, right? Minus the CG, which he's had the mustache, right? So
they're not going to CG and finish all this stuff
Right,
to put these scenes back in.
See, I would almost say just CG.
Now it would be brilliant if they leave the mustaches and put him in a black suit. The CG, the black suit.
The black suit's the other thing we
didn't get to see it, right?
Yeah.
The mustache thing came about because of the reshoots, if I recall, which means
So
they should have scenes with him without a mustache.
That's
from
true.
the original.
Yeah, so technically it would be the scenes without the
They'll
mustache.
cut all the Whedon stuff out, right?
Yeah.
And well, that opening sequence is easily one of the best scenes in the movie, I think, where the kids are talking to Superman, right? I love that scene. But but people freak out because of the
looks
mustache
weird.
thing.
It looks so weird.
But it's a great little scene. So I would love to see, maybe someone can go in.
I actually first thought it was some dude dressed up as Superman, like talking to the kids. I didn't realize it was actually him for a while.
What if they keep all those scenes in, add all the Snyder stuff back in, but fix the mustache scenes? Because it doesn't bother me at all. Like I only notice it because people pointed it out.
Spider-Verse, you're like, I can't watch this. I'm gonna throw up. But mustache on Superman, no, don't bother me at all.
I don't know. The thing I found funny is after the movie came out, like all these people were like, "We wrote this program, and look how much better this looks."
Yeah, that's the scary part is that like afterwards people are like, why didn't you just do this?
Yeah.
Like,
well, they are, as we've seen with Sonic the Hedgehog, I don't know if you guys are following along with that.
Dude, he looks so much better.
It does.
He looks so much better.
he looks like Sonic the Hedgehog.
I
now.
think it's a big marketing scheme. My theory on that movie is some guy was like, you know
and
what?
the internet all think
let's
this.
Let's piss off all the nerds by releasing this teaser that we didn't actually release. Have them all go buck wild and go, oh yes, nerds, we'll go bow down. We'll go spend $30 million on fixing this movie and go ta-da! And now they're all going to watch this movie now. It's brilliant if it worked.
Kevin, as someone who has had small touches with Hollywood, what do you think of the possibility of this is? Do you know what we're talking about?
The changing the look of Sonic?
Yeah, but the release teaser where you look like horse shit.
The belief
right?
is that they made that teaser, right? All the promo images, all the stuff we've seen for product designs and all that, and it was all a fake out. They made it look like shit on purpose. So
see, the way you say it now, I don't believe it. When I was saying it, I was totally believing it. But when you say it, I'm like, yeah, no, that sounds...
They delayed the release of the movie. They went in and spent...
$30 million.
Estimates...
$30 million.
The $30 million number comes from a... It comes from a, like...
I will say I have no clue what I'm saying. I just read it somewhere. So, but $30 million.
What are they called? Like a... shit. The word's not coming to me right now. Anyway, they're like an analyst, but that's not exactly what I'm trying to say. But an analyst said, "Oh, this should probably cost $30 million." Internal numbers seem to say about $5 million. Either way, 5 or 30, they're not going to spend that extra money to reshoot. No. So, I just don't think that there's any chance that they did that on purpose. And much like the Snyder Cut, look. I don't think they're going to spend millions of extra dollars.
Truthfully, I actually don't think they did it on purpose. There's just a bone to me that wants it to be true, where some genius going, you know what, this is going to be really, really tricky, but if we pull this off, it's going to work.
I'm going to say no, because not only is it an expensive troll move, but you're also starting off on the wrong foot, pissing people off,
right?
And alienating the potential fans.
Right.
Okay.
But now they're happy.
Yeah. Because if you release...
I don't believe it.
Here's the thing. Here's why I had that thought originally, right? If you're just going to release a Sonic the Hedgehog movie, it's going to be like, how many people really turn out for Smurfs? How many people really turn out for...
Smurfs did pretty good, I thought, didn't
they did all right. How many people really...
I think the first one did. I doubt this.
Yeah.
Because
all right, Charlie, I got one for you, being a, what's it called fan, Zombieland fan. How many people turn out for Garfield? All right? So if they released a Sonic the Hedgehog movie... just like that, I don't think that many people turn out for it. For them to piss off the entire Sonic community, and they go, ta-da! I was like, that's genius.
It is.
Because they're going in going, at least it doesn't look like that.
Even more than that, the the way I kind of view it is if they set everybody up to be upset and then make them feel like they listened and they now instantly kind of have a level set of the expectations. Because, I mean, other parts of that movie don't look exceptionally good. But I think once you get people going, oh my God, that looks like horse shit, the expectation now is that looks better.
It looks a lot better. I'll go watch it. I'm curious now.
Moving on. It happened, people. The Joker
Yes, it's a movie.
broke $1 billion. What is as of today? Box Office Mojo, $1.018 billion.
So it's beaten Dark Knight.
Again, that estimated budget of $55 million is looking pretty. Now, Kevin, you're going to be 0 for 2 on bets pretty soon. So
well, we didn't actually bet on this. I'll be 0 for 2 on predictions.
And I
think we all were betting against this.
I mean, $55 million budget. Throw in another $50 million for P&A.
Yeah.
So you're an investment of. Let's even round it up and say an investment of $120 mil.
Yeah.
For a bill.
Yeah. It is the most profitable comic book movie ever. Like, Endgame.
And the most profitable R-rated movie.
Yeah, I mean, Endgame cost, Endgame made $2 billion, but it cost $500-600 million right after everything's said and done, right? For this to be like the most profitable comic movie ever, it's ridiculous, right?
There's gonna be some very, very confused WB people over there. Like, what do we do next?
Everything's rated R.
Yeah.
R-rated Shazam. It's coming, Kevin. Well, you know what is coming? That Black Adam movie. Yep.
Yeah.
12 years in at this point? Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson himself tweets out a piece of art by, is it Boss Logic that did that poster, I think? You like Boss Logic? You like that guy? Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Boss Logic. Boss Logic that did that.
Actually, we met him at New York Comic Con.
You did?
He came by the lore table.
He's blowing up huge. Oh yeah, Jim Lee and Boss Logic did this poster. It's just a mock-up poster. Obviously, it's not the real thing. December 22nd, 2021. The Rock's Black Adam movie is apparently being fast-tracked, so yeah. I mean, he's done with Jungle Book. Does he have anything else coming up between? He's got Jumanji 2.
Yeah,
well,
that's done. But he's got Fast and Furious 9, 10, 11, 12, and 15.
Well, what's actually being filmed right now? So this has got to be his next project. If they're doing Christmas 2021,
yeah, I would assume it's his next project.
Yeah,
but I mean, he's definitely one of the busiest people in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Oh, he always
he
has.
doesn't stop. Yeah, he doesn't.
But even his appearances on is Baller still going?
No, I think that's ending.
That's ending.
But that he films like a movie. They film everything all at once, like a movie. But no, he has Fast and Furious 10 after the next one, and then Hobbs and Shaw sequel.
They're going to do the sequel to that?
Fuck yeah!
Okay.
I just saw Hobbs and Shaw.
Did you?
Yeah.
What'd you think?
It was good.
Yeah. Guess who's rumored to be the bad guy in Hobbs and Shaw 2?
Who's that?
Keanu fucking Reeves.
That dude.
Yeah.
People are going to get so sick of him soon.
No.
Pretty soon.
You can never get sick of Keanu Reeves.
And there's going to be a dog in the movie too.
Okay, I'm back on board.
So you, Ryan, more excited for Black Adam or Shazam 2?
No, Fast and Furious 12.
I didn't offer him that choice.
Good question.
Which one?
Good question. I mean, Black Adam has the potential to be fucking awesome, right? But I'm probably more excited for Shazam 2 because the whole family's there now, right? And they can do a ton of stuff with that.
Mr. Mind.
Mr. Mind, right? I know. Yes. Well, you can do both, right? I mean, you can have both come out within a short amount of time. You can have Shazam. You can have Black Adam lead into Shazam 2, right? He can get killed at the end of the movie, right? The wizard can take his powers, and then he comes back as the threat, maybe powered by Mr. Mind in the next movie. They could do like Christmas and then July Shazam 2's out, right? I mean, they could boom back to back.
Well, they established that little Black Adam thing in Shazam with the little hologram
right.
of like his genocide or his but in The Rock's writing about it on his Instagram post was Black Adam's not a traditional hero. He does the right thing but goes about it the wrong way, or something like that. It sounds like a very different
Well, it sounds like the John's
Yeah.
sort of
Yeah.
Black
John,
Adam
the-
when he folded him into the JSA. And
But I think they can. You can do both.
I just don't know if he's going to be presented as the villain against Shazam.
Yeah.
well, I would be disappointed if somewhere along the way he wasn't. But I mean, they should make. Assuming the movie's focusing on him, it should be entirely anti-hero. It should be he sees himself as a hero, even though he doesn't have a line, really.
I wonder if they're going to set it. I mean, I would assume not modern day. I'm assuming it'll be set in the.
In ancient Egypt?
Yeah, right? It wouldn't that.
I mean, in the
Scorpion King 4?
Yeah, I just can't. Unless it's going to be completely independent from Shazam, which
the
would
costume
be
doesn't make sense.
which would be odd. It wouldn't make a lot of sense to have it into unless it deals with both, right? It acknowledges the past, but because Shazam comes back, Black Adam's somehow resurrected,
Well, I
and
think-
now he's here in modern
think
day
it's-
trying to.
I really liked that. That was it. The John's 50, the miniseries around the time 52 was coming
I
out.
was
No,
that
to
wasn't
Peter
John's.
Tomasi.
Yeah, it was Peter Tomasi.
Tomasi,
and,
like
Doug Monkey.
that.
Yeah.
That
was really good.
miniseries was really, really
Yep,
good, and
fantastic.
it kind of brought him into like kind of the modern DC universe as, like you said, Kevin, like this anti-hero that eventually becomes basically the leader of what's the country called? Like,
Kandak.
Kandak, like, and so I personally love that aspect of the character, and so I think doing something like that would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could have a movie that bridges both time periods.
Right. Something that sort of just.
I
takes
just
place.
better get some lightning striking a sarcophagus if they're doing that. Because you'd have to explain how he ends up alive now.
Right. It could be like the whole, the first half an hour, 40 minutes or whatever is him in ancient Egypt, and the shit goes down. He's loses his power, wakes up modern day in the Middle East, and he's like, "Oh,
Just so
what
you know,
happened?"
Ryan's Batman Beginnings.
Well, that's. I mean, yeah. If they're going to acknowledge Shazam, I think they have to do something like that. It would be very odd if it's just he's today. Like that wouldn't. It's a totally different character at that point. It's not Black Adam. So, but yeah, very excited for that. We have clearly the episode
Is
will
this
not.
the first time you're ever excited about The Rock?
I was excited about Jungle Cruise too. I did watch what's that movie? Yeah, Scorpion King, the original one. Was it?
Yeah.
No, the
Mummy.
Mummy.
The Mummy
Mummy
2?
2. Yeah. It was pretty good, except for the end with The Rock,
Oh,
where he's
yeah,
a Scorpion
CG
King.
CGI
It's terrible.
Rock? CGI Rock?
It's terrible, but I like the idea behind it.
There has been for a few years.
I think
gosh,
Ryan watched the least amount of Rock movies out of all humans I know. Like, even animals have watched more Rock movies than Ryan has. Sorry.
I've
it's
seen Jungle Cruise.
You've seen Jungle Cruise? It's not even out
I'm
yet.
sorry, I've seen Jumanji. I really like Jumanji. Jumanji was great.
Jumanji was
I
great.
own it. I haven't watched it yet.
It's really good.
There's been a Doc Savage script that Shane Black wrote that's been around for, I want to say, 15 years.
Yeah, whatever.
It was going to be Arnold,
Oh.
pre-governor,
Okay.
and it was going to be The Rock maybe 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah.
It's a good script. It's legit good. It's set in the 30s.
Never gonna happen.
It'd be expensive.
Yeah.
It'd be like a 1930s version of Buckaroo Banzai.
Could they
kind of?
Could they
You have
Boz
to
Luhrmann it?
explain Bakura Banzai to me.
It's
man.
white people. It's
No,
white people. Just
it's the
don't-
one thing I do not understand in Ready Player One movie.
Oh, I was gonna
Like
say
the
the one thing.
entire movie, like I understand all the references, every single one.
I don't.
And then he goes, Bakaru Banzai. I'm like, the fuck is that?
I don't
Toby,
actually
I don't even get that reference either.
I watched
That's
the
a
trailer.
cult movie.
Yeah, but I watched
Yeah.
the trailer of that movie and I was like, this is like Doctor Who on steroids.
So you know
I
how
think
I
it's-
love all weird '80s white people stuff. I'm not into Buckaroo Banzai.
Really?
I watched it once and I did
Well,
not really
I
care
sprung
for it.
for the Shout Factory Blu-ray
Oh,
release.
that's a good release.
You're gonna hate it. Okay,
Well, that's
I don't
what
know
you
if
think.
I don't know. You and I may have to make a side
You know,
bet here.
Toby.
I was going to say, Toby's chances of liking it increased exponentially when you said you didn't like it.
Yeah.
I wasn't really going to
Team me up
watch
for
it
this one.
It might be something I need
until you
to
said you hate it.
It might be something I need to try again because I like a lot of schlocky stuff like that, but it never.
Do you like how he's getting wishy-washy now?
Yeah, he is.
You like Jack Frost.
I do like Jack Frost.
I only bring it up in that it's a specially chosen group of adventurers led by one guy.
Right.
So the Doc Savage script is like that, and The Rock, I think, would be great in that part as it's written. I just don't know that we'll ever. I didn't think we'd ever see Black Adam, so who knows?
We still haven't. So
Okay.
but
As long as he's still attached to it, I'm pretty sure we will see it.
Yeah.
see it.
Also, he's
been attached to this for like a decade.
Yeah,
So-
but he
Yeah,
never
but-
gave up on it either.
But his
He also got
name-
producer credit on Shazam.
Yeah, he did. He did.
Yeah,
That's
his
true.
name, as long as he's willing to do it, I'm pretty sure they're going to be willing to make
Well,
the movie just based on the fact they have him to do it.
December 2021 means they're starting like now. Like this is in production now.
So
like,
it must
we're
be the wrapped
So,
up.
so
Must have-
basically, they're setting up The Rock's gym on set right now. When they're done with that, then he will go.
Jim Lee and
the
Boss
Iron
Logic.
Paradise.
Jim Lee and Boss Logic aren't doing a poster if this isn't happening, right? So this is happening. It's just
Well, also if The Rock posts about it, he's doing
unless
it.
it's a
yeah.
commission.
He's very good about promoting his own shit.
Yeah. Oh, of
course,
Everybody's
of course.
trying to be The Rock on
yeah,
Instagram and
yeah.
social media.
Sure.
No, I remember when he started filming Jungle Cruise, he posted about the gym that they set up for him there.
No, he does it for every movie.
Yeah, I know.
Actually, if you follow him, he calls it. There's
Toby.
two Iron Paradises. There's the one that moves, and there's the one
Yeah.
that stays put.
Do you want to know the secret? You got some time off work?
secret?
You got some time off work
the
coming up?
secret?
Do
Secret?
you
The
got-
book?
do you got some
The one
bank-
that all the females like? The book?
No.
You're
Do
talking about that
do
book?
Do you got some bank time? You can take a little vacation?
Are we going to Japan for Nintendo Land?
Do you want to meet The Rock?
Yeah, I want to read The Rock.
Okay. What? When does
That
Jungle
did not
when
go
does-
where I thought it
When
was
does
going.
Jungle Cruise come out? What's the release date? Do you know?
The hell I know. You know this shit better than I do. You're a Disney man.
Because every single
Is he basically playing Popeye in that?
every single live action Disney movie, like almost without fail, the actors go to Disneyland, and whether like Tim Burton was on Dumbo, right? The Rock is 100% going to be at Disneyland and is going to skipper one of the Jungle Cruise boats.
Yep.
So all you need to do, I would say,
So for a week, we hang out and just do jungle
I would
cruises
say-
at Disneyland?
All
right,
I
I'll do that.
suggest if you want to meet The Rock, I highly suggest going to Disneyland the week. You probably maybe that Thursday, Friday, or maybe like Monday, Tuesday, like prior to the release.
And
right?
I just won't get off the fucking boat.
and just go on the Jungle Cruise constantly.
Yeah.
Okay. Just
I won't get off.
every ride.
Just the person, just hand them $100 every time. I'm
Just
not getting off.
No, it's called hiding in the cruise.
Okay, so
It's not that big.
July 24th, 2020.
There you go. Is that Comic-Con time?
Wait,
Oh.
what date?
July 24th, 2020.
It's my birthday.
Is it really?
It is.
There you go.
I go on my birthday, go meet The Rock.
What?
But that's-
Ryan promised it. You better hold your promise.
But that's also Comic-Con.
No, it's not. It's going to be before or after.
I think you go like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Like you go like 3 days, just Jungle Cruise, nonstop.
nonstop.
You're meeting The
So
Rock.
wait, he can't leave Adventureland?
No, you can't leave Jungle
right,
Cruise.
But I mean, he's gonna have to take a bathroom break, or so you just go over the side of the
I
boat.
pee in the the little lake they got going where you go around and around and around.
Toby?
Bathroom's right there.
Yeah.
Toby,
Fine.
Comic-Con 2020 will be held July 23rd to 26th.
Okay.
But see, he can fold it together. He'll already be at
Yeah.
Anaheim, so it's a
Right.
shore hop down to San
yeah,
Diego.
yeah, I'll do both.
Yeah. So
Go
like,
carpool with The Rock.
Yeah, yeah.
Because The Rock will be at Comic-Con.
doing an
Hey,
appearance.
you joke about this. There was one Visit World where me and Nate were walking down the celebrity aisle, whatever you want to call it, the autograph aisle, and one of the wrestlers was asking us for a ride to the airport. He goes, "Hey man, did you guys drive?" I'm like, "Yeah." Can you give me a ride to the? I was like, "Wait, what's happening?" It's kind of
so Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 8 a.m. to midnight on
Jungle
the Jungle
Cruise.
Cruise.
Jungle Cruise.
And then
And
you
then
meet
Comic-Con.
The Rock, and then you drive to Comic-Con.
Yeah.
Thursday morning.
yeah.
Excellent.
Me and The Rock will party for my
Excellent.
birthday.
Excellent. It's a plan. I will go to Disneyland for 3 days with you and ride the Jungle Cruise.
It's also a
nonstop.
big birthday for me.
How do you like the backside of water? Are you a fan of water?
Yeah,
Are
very
you a fan
much
of the
so.
backside of
I
water?
am, and
Let's do
the
it.
weird footy thingies. The
Yeah.
You know,
It's a big
No,
birthday.
I just need somebody to film them going on the Jungle Cruise for 3 days.
and not Meet the Rock.
Yeah, and the boat you get on is like he's
Toby's
captaining
gonna
the
have-
boat right behind
Toby
you.
would jump off and get in that dirty ass water, like, and just swim to shore. I'll be in the rock. That's me.
It's a big birthday for me too.
Yeah.
I'm crossing a border that I don't want to cross, but if I get to meet the Rock, I'll cross that border.
There you go. That's my recommendation.
It's my big 4-0.
Yep, that's my recommendation. What do you think the chances are? I think 100% at this point that you'll meet the Rock if you go to Disneyland for 4 days straight and ride the Jungle Cruise nonstop.
I'm gonna
And
have to open up my piggy
for the
bank
Patreon
now.
folks, you could get an unedited raw video feed of this whole.
I will-
It's called Toby for 4 days
Yeah.
cursing.
I will live
on
stream
the
the
Jungle
entire
Cruise.
thing. Okay,
That'd be pretty sweet. All those regular Jungle Cruise non-rock rides that he goes on, like here are the hippos again. Here,
No, I'm gonna start naming all of them.
I'm just waiting for the live stream drinking game of every time Toby says, "Fuck you, Ryan Higgins."
Well, this is the thing: is his slow descent into darkness as he's
Not a
riding
hippo.
this-
I'm not a hippo. I'm not a hippo. I'm not a hippo. I'm not a hippo.
This is where Heart of Darkness applies.
Trader Sam's going to be your best friend by the time you leave there. So,
Who?
the guy, the head shrinker,
Yeah,
the head
the
shrink
guy
guy at
selling
the end.
them.
Yeah.
There's a Weird Al song about like
This
the Jungle
could be a
Cruise.
weird web series on YouTube. Toby goes for 4 days straight of Jungle Cruise. Does not meet the Rock.
The irony is if we posted it online, The Rock would probably see it and he would go meet you.
Hey, I'm
Whatever it
turning
takes.
very old on that birthday. I would very much like to meet the Rock on that day.
Stephen Amell, Arrow, the Green Arrow.
Oliver Queen, the Oliver Queen.
No. You guys
As
are all
filmed.
wrong. You guys are all wrong in what he is because he's something else.
Oh no.
He's someone else.
Yeah,
He's something
else.
Okay.
Not someone else. He's
Okay.
something else.
Has he failed this city? Well,
He
he
has
failed
failed-
Nickelodeon.
What?
He failed Nickelodeon.
By being Casey Jones?
Yeah. And the movies, I don't think did very well, did they?
Yeah, but that's not his fault.
Yeah, I know.
The movies are just terrible. That's
Yeah,
not his
yeah,
fault.
yeah.
He collected a paycheck. Good for him.
Yeah, good for him.
Yeah.
Stephen Amell has filmed his final shot
Yep.
for Arrow. I believe Arrow is like that's it. They're in post production now. They're obviously wrapping up the season.
I
and
think they're
stuff.
done filming, yeah.
But that is it. Arrow is over. We just have the last couple episodes. We have the crossover.
And with all the rumors, there's just going to be like 6 shows replacing it.
Yeah. Now, I, as we mentioned in a previous podcast, I am off. No spoilers for Crisis. I am out. I know
You're not going to watch it?
No, I know a bunch of stuff got posted today. I know there's been a bunch of pictures today.
Yep.
I've not seen any of them. I will not see any of them. I am in shutdown mode.
why
for
was
Crisis.
I was nice enough to protect you from somebody trying to talk about it in the
I heard
shop.
Seth
all right?
talking about it. I didn't listen to him. I never listened to him. It's fine.
Oh.
So I am excited to see what they're going to do. But yeah, Arrow, finally, it is finished filming.
8 years.
It is
Or
done.
9 years.
Well, it's season 8, yeah. I mean, they were working on it
Well,
prior,
congrats
so.
to the crew and cast. Congrats to Bam, who went from a stunt coordinator to full-on director. Yeah, I'm all for this show. Like, they're all went all in.
Oh, Arrow, you could say Smallville kind of like set the stage, and
Sure.
Arrow just launched.
Yeah.
It's as important as Iron Man is to the MCU, right? I mean, Arrow is the start of all the DC
Well,
TV shows.
in ways,
right?
Arrow is what people wanted Smallville to be so badly.
Right.
So badly, right?
Right.
And it's funny because when Arrow first launched, we had questions about why didn't it just spun out of Smallville and why wouldn't Smallville be the Arrow,
Right.
for that? And we were actually questioning it, but I think all in all, we all agreed when we watched the pilot that no, this is a nice new start.
Yeah. I mean, it took them, that first season,
There's
they
9
were
episodes you got to get through. Once they get the back and forth from the...
they were finding their comic book.
I loved those early episodes
Yeah.
of Arrow. I mean, they threw like everything in there because it was a new show, had to prove itself. So,
Yeah.
like those first 6 episodes or something.
Like Huntress was like in
just
season
moved.
1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
No, what I'm saying is it took them a little while to lean into the comic booky nature, right? I mean, they had they were sort of like it was sort of split somewhere between.
They also have to appease the CW folks,
right?
And, you know, they have to have the shirtless hunks and the more shirtless hunks and more shirtless hunks.
The first half of the first season and most of the first season is sort of halfway between Smallville and
just have naked dudes.
But it became the show it needed to be, and it led to all the rest of the shows. I mean, would we have a DC universe? Would we have
a Suicide Squad movie without Arrow?
Yeah,
I would say no.
Maybe
I would say no. I think Arrow paved the way for the Suicide Squad movie by doing their version of the Suicide Squad. I remember all of us going, wouldn't it be cool if they pulled it off, and they started pulling it off. And then I have my normal friends asking me, wait, is this the Suicide Squad that you sometimes talk about? I'm like, yeah. And then a year later, it's like, it's a fucking Suicide Squad movie, right? So hats off to the Arrow folks.
Yeah. So
that's a movie that could have used an R rating.
Will I get my one crisis wish? Is him with the feather in his hat and the goatee.
Maybe. You might. Alternate universe. Maybe he'll be in next season of Legends or something. He'll come back as like an alternate universe Oliver Queen.
I still hope... Well, no, I'm not going to say it because I want it to happen. So
I think he's going to take a little break after this.
I think so too, but for Crisis, I'm hoping for something far, far bigger.
Him and Justin Hatley? What's his name?
Hardly?
Hardly.
I think he's even confirmed, isn't he?
I
thought he was confirmed.
I don't know.
No, I'm still holding out for Linda Carter.
Oh, I think that's all.
I think she's in there, but that's a secret. I think that's a curtain call. Bam.
Yeah, I think they've said there's stuff they want to keep secret. I've told you what I want my wish to be. What? I want them to put animated people into it. I want to see like
animated Joker.
I think that would be fucking amazing.
Do you mean actual cartoons or people who do the voice for
like Kevin Conroy is
like
playing
Spider-Ham?
Right, Kevin Conroy is playing Batman in the show. I would
They said which Batman too. Now.
Yeah,
that was today.
I know, and I don't want to know anything about it. But I
won't say anything. See, I'm nice to you, Ryan. I don't like yourself to me.
I would kill to see like. I mean, you can have that big group shot, and then you can just like it doesn't have to be like a scene with them. Even they could just be there, but like have animated characters in them. If you don't do it in Crisis,
Legends did fucking
they did
puppets.
The puppets. You could do animated characters.
Here you go.
Did you see that photo they took where it looks like a JLI cover?
Yeah.
You have all the live action actors that you know about and the ones you don't know about.
Yeah,
and then you have an animated ambush bug walk through the scene.
Sure.
Something like that.
Mike comes walking by.
Whatever.
So what will you do if that happens?
I'll be
because you're not in a theater where you could do a slow clap.
It doesn't
have to.
He'll just stand up off his couch and do it.
It doesn't. You doing this in the middle of the night at 3 a.m. while Leanne's sleeping next to you, and you get up and do the slow clap.
No, we need that
I'll give you.
You'd be like, what the hell is going on?
Him awake at 3 a.m.?
Yeah.
Already we're in science fiction land.
We need a Patreon tier where you will live stream you watching the Crisis episode.
Yeah, but it's not as fun if he's not in a full theater doing the slow clap. Him at home while people are awake and the dogs are awake and doing the slow clap is not that fun. Him at doing it at 3 a.m.
starts barking at him.
I will rent a theater and we will all watch it together. And I'll stand up and me and Kevin will do the.
He said that
the slow clap.
Word is bond.
It's a Patreon.
It's recorded.
It's a certain Patreon tier.
Well, we'll obviously have a lot to say about Arrow and Legends.
So we're going to have a Crisis conversation when they're all aired. Is that correct? Because I'm going to be stockpiling them. I'm not going to watch them week by week.
Well,
so I'm just
does
trying
it mean we're not going to talk about it till after New Year's?
It's going to air half of them and then
that's what I meant. I mean, like part 1 and part 2.
Something.
Right, so I think it is the week that we would be doing our like double wrap up everything that. So it might make the most sense just to wait and do it because we'll literally be recording.
Dude, it's going to be so awesome.
Oh yeah, there will be one on the air while we're in here.
It's going to be so awesome that we can't contain ourselves.
And that's the break, and then in January is when it wraps up. So we'll probably just do a finale at the end because I mean, we could talk about it, randomly.
We will talk,
but probably a little bit like Watchmen. People have said you guys want to talk more Watchmen, and I'm like. Yeah, but I don't have a ton to say until it's over. Like, I would love to talk about this last week's episode of Watchmen, but, like, I don't have a lot to say because I'm still like, I don't know where the hell this is going, right? So
I'll have a lot to say too. We should just do it as a wrap up.
Yeah. We'll do a big Watchmen talk when we're done. Before we move on to some of our Patreon questions, we have two sad pieces of news. I don't like when two happen because that means the third's around the corner. Two names in the comic book industry, unfortunately, we have lost, and these are not, Golden Age, Silver Age creators. These are both much younger guys, which is always unfortunate. Tom Lyle, who was a longtime artist for both Batman and Spider-Man, he did a lot of the Robin series, the Robin Joker's Wild, all the Chuck Dixon Robin stuff, Toby, that early Chuck Dixon Robin stuff. He was the artist on all this.
Oh.
He also worked over at Marvel. Depending on where I put the interview, you'll hear a lot more about the Clone Saga later in this episode, or you already heard about the Clone Saga. He worked on a lot of the Clone Saga stuff. He designed the costume for Scarlet Spider over at Marvel. He worked on Punisher. He worked on some of the episodes around the Maximum Carnage books.
You're saying he designed the coolest looking Spider-Man of all time?
A lot of people like him. A personal favorite of mine too, the '88 Starman series that just prior to
pink and like yellow.
Well, the star,
it's the one he's wearing in the current Justice League.
Yeah. With Roger Stern, I like that run a lot. So he did a lot of the art on that. And this guy's, and you see pictures of him, you probably recognize him. He's a constable. This guy's been around for a long time. So Tom Lyle, he died 60. Well, how old was he? I have the age here. He was 66. This is from Hollywood Reporter. He underwent surgery last month to remove a blood clot in his brain following an aneurysm. The month prior, fell into a coma, and then unfortunately passed away. So very, very sad. Also, and this was obviously big. This just literally happened. I believe today is when, as we're recording, is when this broke. Earlier in the week, last week, there was more big news too about Tom Spurgeon, who was a longtime comic reviewer. He worked for the Comics Journal for the last 15 years or so at this point. He's worked at Comics Reporter, which is his own site, blog, multiple time Eisner nominee and winner for his comics journalism and periodical work. He wrote Stan Lee and the Rise and Fall of the American Comic Book. He did a couple other books for Fantagraphic as well. Very active on Twitter. If I met him, it was extremely brief. He definitely was at a number of Isotope events.
Yeah, Isotope, one of our other local comic stores.
Yeah, up in San Francisco. I recognize him. I know who he is. I mean, I've talked to him online, but I don't know if I actually ever met him in person, but I know I've seen him around. So, yeah, unfortunately.
And he was 50?
Yeah, 50. Yeah, very young, very young. Very close with Heidi McDonald over at The Beat. A lot of the comics journalism people, he obviously was a big part of that scene. So if you read Newsarama, Comic Resources, The Beat, Comic... what was the one that closed a couple years back? Whatever, it doesn't matter. He's obviously been a big part of the scene for a very long time. I've had my issues with the Comics Journal on and off. I don't remember what it was like from 94 to 99 when he was the executive editor, but he's definitely a voice that I've read for a long time. So, yeah, always sad when we lose people in the comic industry, and it's when it's Stan Lee at 98, you're like 98, 90, how old was he? 98, I think it was something like that. You're like, okay, yeah, I kind of get that. At 50, that's a lot scarier. So, always sad to see. Always sad to lose people from the comic industry. We are going to move on to some questions now, though. These are all on Patreon.
All right, let's lighten the mood.
Yeah, definitely. And because we do have that interview, so we kind of skipped Twitter questions this week. We'll come back to them next week. But we do have to answer some of these, or all these that are on Patreon. Varum Libertas says, I'd like to start with F the Snyder Cut. Let it go, people.
Oh, you just won Ryan's heart right now.
I mean, it's the first.
No, the internet broke Ryan on Sunday
You're
night.
tickling his balls right now.
Whoa. He goes, this may be more of a Geekbox question, but what equipment and software do you guys use to record the podcast? Well,
the cheapest possible.
it's different. This board was like $200 or something.
Yeah,
These
but,
mics
but,
are like...
but the other Ryan bought that.
No, we bought this. Did I buy it? Oh, he may
Oh,
have
then
bought
he
this
used
one.
it.
He may have bought
This
this
is the
one. We
second
bought
board
more of the
we've gone
mics and
through.
stuff. Yeah. No, we use a like it's an older mixing board. I know Toby wants to send me the Amazon link so I can buy the modern one.
It's nice. I don't have
Okay.
to send you the link. I just bring it.
Oh, just give it to me then.
Fuck off. I don't like you that
Send
much.
him the link.
I don't like you
Or
that
send
much.
me the link so I can send it to him so I can
I don't
get
like you that much.
Amazon money.
We use Audacity to record the podcast. There's for when we do the interview. There's a Skype recording program we use. It's like a free Skype recording.
Just
program,
don't use it with Bryce.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, well, that was Bryce trying to record himself that did not work. So, we'll go back to the normal way next time. Tyler Willett says,
Tyler.
we're going to get a few of these questions. He says, "This is my worst nightmare coming true, and the Snyder Cut is real and maybe a thing. There are too many celebrities endorsing this out of nowhere. It feels like a big PR push. I mean,
Tyler, you need to find some worst nightmares. Because all things considered, that one,
That's an awesome nightmare. I'll take
Toby's
that.
a fan of that nightmare.
Yeah, I'll take that. Any more Wonder Woman Gal Gadot, I'll take it. Any more Momoa, I'll take it. I'll even take more Batfleck.
yeah, no, I'm all up for all of this.
Like,
I just
actually
don't
Hate
think this
the fandom.
I really do. Look, it kind of hobbled at its start. It kind of limped. I do want to see the DC universe, cinematic universe.
Yes!
I want to see it.
I am 100% in favor of
I
this.
want Batfleck to come back. This vampire Dracula man can go away. And, it's
I really like these standalone DC movies.
they're fine too. But Batfleck can come back.
But
it's like
I also would love if they can make it work. I just don't want
I
it
think
to.
they can. They just need to
I'd
make
rather
good
have
movies.
I'd rather have good solo movies that people enjoy and do well financially
than no movies at all.
Well, I'd rather have anything than no movies at all. But than very fandom destroying box office.
Snyder Cuts.
Yeah. Then what happened with the Zack Snyder movies? I would rather not have Zack Snyder do these movies if we get more generally liked movies that succeed and there's a clear plan going forward than the nightmare that seemed to revolve around what happened with Zack Snyder.
You like all of them. I like some of them.
Yeah.
So I'm like halfway on Zack. I'm not against him.
Yeah,
I just
yeah.
don't think he ended it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, my view on Zach kind of comes down to what Kevin was saying earlier. I think if he gets given the right script, I think he could do an amazing job, because I do think he's got a good aesthetic for like superhero level action and that kind of stuff. But there's always certain choices in the stories that I have more issue with than how the movie was made.
I think you got a great script. Man of Steel. I love Man of
If
Steel.
only he could have gotten Zod away from a populated area for that. Okay, hashtag throwback.
Hashtag Man of Steel commentary
Start.
with Bryce and Ryan.
Restart Higgins versus Larson. Larson versus Higgins.
From Darfox8,
Uh-oh.
he said it's time for the periodic manga time. Have you guys been reading any manga? I know the answer that I don't read it. I've continued to purchase the Urusei Yatsura re-releases and have read
Me too. I'm
all
missing
but,
number
like,
2 some reason.
10 pages. He says, if not a couple of recommendations,
Fire Force.
Beastars?
What?
Beastars?
Like bees?
Beast?
Oh, bees.
Never heard of it.
It's kind of like Zootopia, but better. A volume 3
I don't know what
today.
Zootopia is. Oh, like
Pixar
the
movie,
Disney one?
Yeah. Now this one I've heard of. Gambling Apocalypse Kaiji. It's a famous long-running gambling manga finally licensed and being released here in December. Check that out.
If it's not God a Gambler, I'm not interested.
I have heard of that.
There's God a Gambler movies are awesome.
There's a lot of classic manga that's been out of print or never fully translated. It's finally coming out in English. There's
Really?
been a number of old school manga stuff.
City Hunter? That's the one I'm waiting on.
I don't know.
I really want. I have to
Isn't
complete
that like
Slam Dunk.
Raijin comics that have
Yeah, they did. They also did freaking Slam Dunk and Fist of the North Star in a prequel, I think, to Fist of the North Star. But City Hunter is the one manga, or the old school manga that I'm still waiting for. I have everything else. I have my Slam Dunk. I even have my Saint Seiya, which I did not think was going to survive American audiences, but it did come out all the way to the end. And all the other old stuff, Mason Ikoku, all the ramen stuff, all out, except for City Hunter. And I understand why the American public may not be too keen on City Hunter. It is about a dude that gets a hard-on occasion and runs around with a hard-on, and they do draw the hard-on.
Well, I don't know what's been released yet.
I'm not even joking about any of this. They actually draw the hard-on.
But back in April...
It's a running gag in the book.
Back in April, Discotech licensed the entire City Hunter anime, all the movies and all the TV shows.
Dude, the movie... the Magnum, 375 movie was amazing.
Yeah.
The Jackie Chan movie... Quite entertaining, but not City Hunter. Don't think that's actually the manga.
So someone's gonna, at least for all the anime, you'll be able to get that all here if you want.
Well, I actually have them.
Okay. Well, there you go.
Yeah. No, it's the English manga one.
Blu-ray releases. Yeah, maybe someone else.
Blu-ray I don't have. No.
Jimmy says, Watchmen has been fantastic on HBO. Are you guys planning to do any episode reviews? And yes, we talked about that a few minutes ago. I'm not going to say the spoiler. He says, spoiler, but I can't believe we actually got the spoiler, which we won't talk about here because I don't want to spoil it for people in case they haven't seen it. So yes, we'll have much more to say. It ends. I believe we talked about this, right? I believe if there isn't any break,
I kind of James Gordon was on the Lakers halftime dancing with the cheerleaders, which kind of sidetracked me. What are we talking about right now? Doomsday Clock?
Watchmen. But I believe the final episode of Watchmen should be out the same week as the final issue of Doomsday Clock.
Theoretically.
Which
theoretically.
One of the editors at DC, or one of the
he's rubbing it in
one of the PR guys and one of the production guys at DC today said that he read the entire thing, so it's happening. It's happening.
Don't you know people?
I just can't wait for the shipment to get shorted and then argue about...
Oh, yeah. They're going to be allocated in your storage to slightly not big enough.
Go to Elusive, steal their copies, put them on our shelf here.
See, either way, I'm going to win this bet, Ryan, because either I have to pay out and do the social media walk of shame, and I get to read the comics sooner, or you do those things... So either way, I win. Yeah.
Joe Duff says, "What's everyone?"
Brock picks up your shipments, right?
Sometimes
I'll pick up that day. Joe says, "What's everyone's favorite older animation?"
I could be you.
you
I'm
already
Ryan
told me I'm
Higgins.
picking up that day.
No.
Yes,
that's Friday.
I'm gonna go before you show up, and then I'm Ryan Higgins. They go, you don't look like Ryan. I'm like, I gained some weight.
Go on Monday.
Joe said, his favorites are Super Friends of the '80s and Last Unicorn.
Oh,
old
good
animation.
Man. Yeah, older animation.
Yeah,
like
Last
TV
Unicorn.
shows. Last Unicorn's
well, anything.
not.
I mean,
wait, what's the question?
What's your favorite older animation?
Well, what we're watching on the TVs in here right now, I love.
Oh yeah,
the early Disney silly symphonies.
Last Unicorn is considered old.
Well, it's the '80s.
'80s. That's the point. Yeah.
That's not old. that's the best.
That Last Unicorn is almost 40 years old.
No.
Yes, it is.
No.
Almost.
No.
Hold on, I'll give it.
All right, talking about old cartoons, huh?
Yep, go.
So Disney Plus came into our lives. Guess what I've been watching? The Adventures of the fucking Gummy Bears, man. Doink, doink, doink. That's an old one.
Did you not pick up the He-Man Crisis on Infinite He-Man's comic that came out today? Because Seth almost jizzed himself earlier and he was flipping through it.
Well, since that happened, I can't touch any of the copies. I will wait for the trade.
Last Unicorn came out in 1982.
Yeah, like you said,
that's not 40 years.
That's good.
It's almost 40 years.
That's a problem. We have
It's
to
37 years old.
No.
Last Unicorn can legally drink and become president.
Okay, so for some old
turn
animation,
back the clock. It's only 20 years old.
He said Super Friends,
Super Friends.
and
he said the '80s Super
okay,
Friends.
I'll say
And then Last
the
Unicorn.
Challenge of the Super Friends.
Yeah,
I'll say Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends.
Yeah.
And even though it was way before my time, Johnny Quest.
Johnny Quest is good.
It has to be comic book related?
No.
Just animation.
I love Tiny Toons.
That's like
Dude.
90s.
That's less old than Last
like
Unicorn, but that's okay
like,
too.
That's like 90s.
That's okay.
I'm gonna go with Slam Dunk, Saint Seiya, City Hunter. Hold on. I got more. I do have more. Hold on, I'm brain farting.
He-Man.
Oh fuck! Yeah, He-Man, She-Ra, Thundercats,
Thundercats.
Pirates of Darkwater.
Silverhawks.
I love
Oh,
Pirates
yeah.
of Dark
Yeah.
Water.
That's
good
great.
series.
Yeah, Silverhawks. Hold on, there's more.
The
more.
Mighty Orbots.
Oh, hold on. No, I got some good ones. Guardians of Defenders of the Earth that had like all the old school comic book characters team up with like sidekicks and shit, dude.
Yeah.
They had like Phantom. They had some sorcerer dude that was not Santana's dad.
Yeah.
Mother
You know
I
what
know
we're
what
talking
show you're
about?
talking
Yeah,
about,
yeah,
yeah.
I like that one. I like that one a lot. Fucking Captain Planet. That's late 90s or late 80s. But yeah.
I like the 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo. That was a fun show.
Which one's that one?
Oh.
That's the one with like it's only like half the Scooby Gang, and they accidentally released these 13 ghosts from a chest.
Is it a movie?
No, it was like a one-season show
okay,
with Vince Price.
Vincent Price?
Yeah, playing
friends call him
basically a Doctor Strange type in
Okay.
that show.
I've never
It
heard
was
of this.
amazing.
I want to see that, actually. I have more to add. The very real Ghostbusters,
Yes.
the Dungeons and Dragons cartoon.
How did you forget about that's your favorite?
Oh, dude, I love that.
I had the action figures from that
Did you
show.
say? Did you say the very real Ghostbusters?
Yeah, the very real
Okay.
Ghostbusters.
Because can I just say this?
Did you
Fuck-
like the
fuck
original?
that original Ghostbusters?
You what,
cartoon?
with the fucking
I think
monkey?
It's a piece of shit.
What?
And the car? Fuck that. Fuck that show.
Okay.
You know that's
pissed-
based on a live-action Ghostbusters
Yes,
show, right?
I know. It pissed me off every time I would see that because it'd be like, yes, Ghostbusters is on. What the hell is this? What's this goddamn
That's
monkey
the
doing
Filmation
here? I know, it's
Ghostbusters.
trash.
Ooh. Brave Star, fucking Black Star, and there's more.
I'm going to jump onto his question. Who's the listener?
Joe.
Joe. I'm going to jump onto Joe's question because I do not know the answer to this, and I'm curious to go around the table. What is everybody's
Saber Rider.
favorite animated Disney movie?
Oh, that's
Like classic or just in general?
In general.
you're a motherfucker because it's either Aladdin,
But if you had to pick today,
Little Mermaid, or Lion King.
Today.
However, I also really like Aristocats,
Okay.
Cinderella because of the mice,
pick one for today. You could change your answer tomorrow.
Oliver and Company.
Aladdin. I mean, it's always Aladdin. Aladdin's my answer.
Yeah, Aladdin.
Aladdin?
There's like some of the classic ones I really
Well,
like.
because
too.
the thing is
remember that.
our era was
It doesn't have
Beauty
to be
and the
of
Beast.
your
Well,
era.
I know, but Beauty and the Beast, Little Mermaid, and Aladdin. Those were the three cores.
Yeah,
that,
but
like,
Beauty and Beast never did it for me. It was very much Ariel and Aladdin and
Charlie,
Lion King.
what's yours?
Aladdin.
What is with you and boners?
3
on
people out of 5 chose Aladdin. That's interesting.
What's yours?
Pinocchio.
I like Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah?
Yeah. Oh, talking about old cartoons. The Alice in Wonderland I grew up on was a German anime of Alice with red hair. It was a TV show, which I loved. And there was also a Pinocchio version of that I also loved as a TV show.
Oh, Toby just reminded me. His question was old cartoons?
the
or old
Three
animation?
Musketeers with the dogs. That was awesome.
I'm going to go
The
older.
theme song.
Fleischer Studios Superman.
Oh, that was
and
classic.
Fleischer Studios Popeye.
That was
are
classic.
amazing.
Dude, I will still remember I was at the dentist place and they had like this like little TV.
The dentist?
Yeah, the dentist,
Okay.
the motherfucker that drilled shit in
Yeah.
my face.
The dentist?
Yeah.
The dentist
dentist-
place, I was wondering if
Yeah.
that was some...
No, I hate the
Okay.
dentist place. I fucking hate it.
Hey,
right? They
look,
always
it's
do
the
shit.
Rock and Jumanji.
They always do shit with my mouth. I hated that place. But they had a small TV, like one of those fucking VHS things, and they had Superman there. And I got so excited. And it was like one of the iconic things where there was like 3 short films or shorts, and one of them he had to like punch this like ray.
Oh,
And
yeah,
I was like,
yeah.
shot back, and then he had like to punch it back, and he eventually got to. I was like, oh man, that was forever
Yep.
ingrained in my head.
Yep.
I always loved the
Go
Lord of
Fleischer.
the Rings animated movie.
The Hobbit.
It's Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, those are old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Ralph Bakshi ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's just say I really, really like cartoons of all generations. I will tell you the ones I hated was those Marvel cartoons. The ones where they animated the actual comic book pages, which I didn't know were actually comic
mouth moving.
Oh my! First of all,
blinking.
they freaked me out, right? And then I'm like, man, that's some shitty ass fucking animation, right? But I hated those because
They're on my
yeah, I hate those whenever they're on because
love them.
they were also on before Spider-Man: The Amazing Friends. They were also on after Spider-Man and The Amazing Friends. So it was like I have to watch the shitty fucking Marvel shit to get to Spider-Man and The Amazing Friends, and then I have to watch more shitty Marvel shows. So I hated those.
I mean, I've mentioned on this podcast before, but one of my favorite cartoons is Herculoids.
That's
I remember tracking down that toy for you in when I was in Texas.
Yeah, those toys are
no, you love the
expensive.
Herculoids.
Yeah, there's something about the design of those characters. That's a lot of stuff. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I love the design of those characters. It's
Space Ghost.
Yeah, it's because I never really got into like the original Space Ghost stuff. A lot of the ones are Shazam and a few of those other ones that were part of that little package. But yeah, Herculoids for whatever reason. I think it's like Herculoids, Adam Strange. Like there's a connect. Like they're so different, but there's like a.
Wait, are you a big Rocketeer fan?
I like the Rocketeer.
Uh-huh.
I think I've only seen the movie like once.
Oh, really?
I've not read too many of the comics.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
you guys do realize that I think it was this past Saturday was the last
Jedi?
No, the last
Unicorn?
Saturday morning cartoons.
What?
CW was the last holdout for doing Saturday morning cartoons.
Just for like the.
No.
for-
You know what destroyed Saturday morning cartoons, right? It's Ryan's fault.
Everything is Ryan's fault.
Yeah, it's his cereal love. Because all his cereal people were like, fuck this, we have to pull out a Saturday morning commercials, and therefore no more Saturday morning cartoons. I actually am telling the story completely wrong, but it's got something to do with cereal and Ryan.
Okay.
Because Ryan's got something to do with cereal, therefore it's his
Do we
fault.
have any more?
Got a couple more. Anderban asks, when purchasing omnibuses or deluxe editions, Charlie purchased up.
Charlie just closed his
He
comic.
he
and
just put down
you
his
have his
book.
full attention.
Do you place into consideration to the extra back material provided? I was seriously disappointed that the Green Arrow Green Lantern Deluxe had literally no back matter.
Well, hold on. Did he just say deluxe, not omnibus?
It's the oversized one. While high quality back matter has sometimes pushed me to purchase an omnibus, I was on the fence about. Anyone else feel
Wait,
this
what's
way?
back matter?
Like extra
sketches.
sketches.
Oh,
or
bonuses.
scripts
Sure,
or-
sure. I do like some of that stuff, though.
Oh, yeah, me too.
It depends on what it is. Most of the time, as long as you give me a good amount of content, I don't really use back matter to decide if I'm going to get it or not.
Sure.
If it's a shorter story or something that they're putting in sort of a deluxe, or if they're putting into absolute, I need really good back matter to
Like good one, too.
justify it.
Because if it's sissy bonus stuff, I kind of feel like I got just on the the $75 price tag.
The two ones that have been interesting recently, the Absolute Killing Joke. It's really cool because they actually put both versions of the book in there, plus some extra stuff. So they have
that's cool.
They have the original,
But like, see,
colored
those
version.
are the ones where I'm like, am I really going to pay that much money for it? Because I know how short the
I
story
mean, it's
actually
only
is.
$50, right?
Okay, but there's
the-
like $75 ones too.
Yeah.
The Batman, they did the 89 Batman
movie, the movie
Yeah,
adaptation.
movie
the
adaptation
deluxe.
that comes this week. The bonus in that is every page is mirrored by its penciled version. So, and I don't think they did a very good job talking about this.
That's actually kind of neat.
It is. It's really because it's a short book, right?
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
But it's like
Super short.
they scan the original pages of I believe
Is it all in color first, so you can enjoy it, or is it literally one by one, which is
believe
kind of
it's-
weird?
Do not quote me on this. I only saw like a pre-production mock-up of it, but it was
Let's
like
open yours.
it was like color version on.
You didn't
It's
buy
like
one.
if you want to read the book, you just read all the left pages. The right pages is all like the. But I believe
I like that.
I believe
That's better than the Cora books where they do like
half size.
like half
I don't-
size and then little footnotes on the side
I
and
don't
waste
get
like
that.
half the
Yeah.
paper. I was so annoyed
don't
about
get
that.
that.
The
Yeah.
new ones are better. They don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
They did that with the Sandman omnibuses.
They did it with the Sandman.
Annotated?
Annotated
Yeah,
versions.
annotated.
Yeah. And that's but you know what you're getting
Yeah.
into with that. Yeah.
That's why it's called annotated.
But yeah, no. For me, I'm there for the original or for the reprinted
Yeah.
content. If there's bonus stuff, awesome. It's bonus. But yeah,
But I also think it depends on what you're buying. Like if you're buying something that, like rebuying something, do you really need to rebuy it, or does the extra content make you want to rebuy it?
Well, those early Absolute editions from DC, that bonus material that made the price point worth it.
Yeah.
That Crisis box.
No, that JLA Avengers one,
JLA
where they actually put that original book in,
right?
That unfinished book. I thought that was to me that was well worth it.
So many interviews. The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen one, Watchmen. There's tons of bonus stuff in those. Now, less.
I'll be honest with you though. I mean,
but there used to be more very limited series stuff would make it into absolutes. Like when you talk about League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, it was only like that first miniseries and the second miniseries. So it was very much about like the bonus material. Was even, if I recall, a second book in there.
Yep, just like JLA Avengers. Yeah.
And
Crisis.
Most of what we've seen nowadays with absolutes, there's certain things like Killing Joke that's been coming out recently, but a lot of the stuff has been more like Sinestro Corps or New Frontier or stuff that's longer to begin with. You're not picking up a 6-issue or 4-issue or whatnot. You're picking up something that already has a lot of content. So if they include bonus material, a lot of times it's very limited bonus material.
Speaking of absolutes, I need to get an absolute Sandman prequel one.
The
Overture.
Yeah.
Need to order that.
I'll be honest, when I buy the collections that go on the bookshelf, the bonuses are cool, and I at the very least want all the covers in it. But the main thing is to have the complete story in a nice one-bound thing. Yeah.
Got two left. Craig Anderson says as we were driving across the country last week.
Did you get you an accident?
He drove from the East Coast to San Diego.
Oh, he did actually send us pictures about that.
Yeah.
He asked me where the pizza bar was. The one where you got some company.
Oh, your what the
hip hop?
Yeah.
Hip hop pizza bar.
Well, they haven't been. Last year they did not play the good shit. Now when Craig was there, they played the good shit. But yeah, that's the good bar.
The good bar.
Yeah. Well, no, pizza place, I mean. They do have beer.
As we were driving across the country last week, we listened to the podcast, and my son Danny really enjoyed it. Hey, Danny, how's it going?
Hi, Danny.
Glad you enjoyed it.
Sorry, Danny, you were a captive audience. There was no choice.
He asked me to submit this
Danny,
question.
I think you're in your prime age where you should just enjoy San Diego for San Diego and not all this nerd shit. So please take my advice and enjoy your young adulthood.
Danny's in the military.
Yeah, he should still go enjoy it in San Diego. So don't get into this nerd shit.
He wanted me to submit this question. He says, what did the guys think of Superman Year One by Frank Miller? I like Superman, but Year One made him a morally superior douche. So
Has anybody at the table read it?
No.
No.
I couldn't.
No.
You didn't
No.
no.
Hell no.
No. Sorry.
Well, that's a hell no.
Well,
Damn.
and it's not even a Frank Miller comment. It's just of all the origins I'd never need to read again, that's maybe at the top of the list.
Maybe when it goes on to like the DC Universe app, I might give it a try. But the reality is I have limited reading time here at the shop, and I have no faith in spending my money on something like that.
Sorry, Danny.
I buy a lot of books. I did not buy that one.
I was hoping for a better question, Danny.
Well, here's a question from Zach.
Did you enjoy the pizza joint with Dad?
Here's the final
Toby
question.
and I are like the two sides of Two Faces coin. I said, sorry, Danny, and then it flips over. I was hoping for a better question than that, Danny.
Here's the final question from Zach. This is a good one to go out on.
Zack Snyder?
Yes. If you were in charge of Marvel or DC, what would be the first creative change you would make?
Are you talking about the publisher or the studio?
I mean, I'm assuming publisher.
Okay.
So. Creative change. I mean, I have changes that I would do as far as like structure and layout and release
I'd go
schedules
to the
and blah
graphic
blah
novel
blah.
department of each one and fire everybody.
Creative
and
change.
Start from scratch.
Also, creative change.
Yeah, they can be a little more creative over there.
Wait. What do you... If you're running both at the same time, or
Either or.
Either or.
If you were the head of Marvel or DC,
Okay, it's called
or DC.
If you don't have Tom King, if you're on the other company, then hire Tom King. If you're at Marvel, hire Jim Lee back somehow and offer him like a life of monies.
I mean, that is literally would never happen at this point, as he is.
You asked me what I would do, so leave me the fuck alone, please. I would
find the dollar.
I would recreate the Wildstorm Studios and have them draw every freaking comic book on Earth, even though it probably will never come out. I love you guys. Yeah.
What is the Wonder Woman book that's coming out, the Daniel Warren Johnson book?
Yeah, Dead Earth.
Dead Earth.
Yeah.
Okay. Books like Dead Earth and books like Grand Design, I would open my doors to a lot more books like that. I would want to bring in indie creators and just say, here are 4 issues.
But for
whatever.
a while there, they were doing that.
Do whatever you want. Out of continuity.
Sure, that's probably a better way.
Set it in the Silver Age, set it now, set it in the Golden, whatever.
Yeah.
I would just want to have call it Black Label, call it Silver Label, or gold, whatever. I'd just have a separate niche of my publishing schedule that is just for that.
I will redo my take on recreating Wildstorm Studios. I would do Wildstorm Studios and a equivalent of top writers, and I put the two together.
Well, and I think that's, this has been something Marvel's tried a few times, but they've rarely had their Vertigo. They've rarely had their Wildstorm. They've rarely had their...
Well, I don't even want to say DC was trying that with DCU.
I mean, for me, one of the first things I would do, especially over at Marvel, is I would restore certain classic-looking costumes, like for the X-Men and that kind of stuff. Like that, that stuff always bothers me, the need to go as far as, like, I've talked at length about the big return of so-and-so. First thing we're going to do, put him in a new costume or her in a new costume. That always drives me
nuts. Sell more
nuts.
action figures. Yeah.
So, but I mean, that's the thing that kills me about it, is they quote-unquote sell more action figures, but there's a reason why they keep putting out merchandising for the costumes of the 90s and stuff. Like, you want to really sell more action figures when you do a big push for this character's return, put them back in a recognizable costume, get all that merchandise out, put out your gallery figures, put out your Marvel Legends, put out your... and you'll sell a ton of merchandise. That would probably be one of the first things I would do, is just make sure that every character is instantly recognizable to sort of new and old fans as much as possible. I mean, other than that, like, the more I sort of sit here and think about it, like, X-Men, I'm curious to see where it goes, so I wouldn't change anything right now because I am invested to see what the hell is he doing. And like, same looking at like the DC side, like I feel like Justice League is in great hands, Batman's in great hands right now, Green Lantern's in great hands. I mean, there isn't much of a need where I'm like, creatively they're dying. I'm wondering if they've done it, because I haven't read anything with Titans lately. So I'm wondering if they've done anything to put that in a better spot.
I mean, Titans is over. Teen Titans is like completely different. So.
Yeah, I know. I'm just... because I know they have the Wally book, but I don't know if they've done anything to sort of...
No.
So that's probably...
They've basically been gone entirely.
Yeah, but that's probably one thing I would do, especially with the Titans TV show. I probably would have made sure there was a better standing for the main sort of... well, not main. For the Titans book, but...
I think if I was at Marvel, I would drastically cut the output, just with the amount of stuff that they're just dumping and dumping.
Ooh, how about just keeping numbers going?
Huh?
Instead of rebooting every title or restarting every title, just keep them going.
Yeah, I would legacy the mainstays, but like cut back on just all the excess stuff. Try and breathe some life back into Avengers, I guess, because I mean, the buzz with Jason Aaron's is just kind of not there, you know. And that's the thing is you know, you want your cores to be firing on all cylinders. So like for Marvel, it's Avengers, it's Spider-Man, it's X-Men.
I think a lot of them are at this point. Yeah.
Like, you know, at DC, I think Kevin, you're with your, you know, kind of this separate line of just indie creators and stuff like that, where they can just experiment and have a good time with. But I think also it applies to, you know, your mainstays and stuff. Like Mr. Miracle is an amazing book that we got from Tom King, and we're getting, you know, Adam Strange now. So it's like, you know, maybe give other creators something like, hey, is there a character that you really enjoy that you really want to tackle something with? Like,
what I do kind of wonder, like, what has prevented Marvel from having their Starman or their Sandman or their
Had Vision.
Basket Full of Heads, right? That's out this week, or their
was a few weeks ago.
you know what I mean.
Yeah.
There's I don't quite know what the special sauce is at DC that allows these projects to be made. There's not really like a Dark Knight or Watchmen of Marvel, right? I mean, you going back even to the 80s. So it is odd to me that
Is it just better? I don't want to say better, but is it just editors like letting the artists roam more freely? Or
I mean, from a creative point of view, I don't know. I think a lot of it may have to do with Marvel wants things to be connected, and DC has really allowed their biggest projects always. And this is why we're seeing Black Label, right? Their biggest projects have always ended up being this very self-contained, completely disconnected.
But something creators tend to be really behind.
Yeah. And Marvel has done this stuff.
it also seems like a lot of the creators are just happier at DC. I see a lot of people like going, DC's really taking care of me, like not even financially,
well,
but
they pay better.
Well,
They
and also
definitely
like
pay better.
on like like goodie bag, like they think of them on on Christmas and stuff like that because they get like little goodie bags and stuff. I don't know if Marvel does Marvel do? I
Whenever
never
there's
hear
a
of
big
it.
premiere for a movie, all the DC people are there. There's no Marvel comic people
See,
at Marvel
I
premieres,
I
right?
feel like sometimes the little things matter. Go
yeah.
a long way.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
DC seems to be more of like a. It seems like a family. Like on Twitter, when you're talking, like you see Scott Snyder tweeting and with Greg and like they meet up, or Tom, and like everybody's like, even with Undiscovered Country, you get that feeling with Soul and Snyder.
I think the projects at Marvel, especially these days, are so short you probably don't even get a chance to even know the people you're working with. Yeah. But that would be my biggest push at Marvel, and they've done. You had Epic in the 80s. You had Max.
Ultimate Spidey.
You've had certain times
there when it worked.
Yeah, but I really think, kind of like what Kevin said, you get a section of your books free for creators to just go fucking hog wild.
And it's funny that I say that because Ultimate Spider-Man was in ways free of its history, right? I mean, it was kind of like do your own version of it.
Right.
You got to do whatever you want in ways.
Yeah. And yeah, I don't know what, like I said, I don't know what the cause is. I don't know if it's editors. I don't know if it's creative. I don't know what the deal is. And Marvel's published tons of great books, but their attachment to continuity. It's funny too because DC seems to be like the crisis. We got to redo, and like they're almost obsessed with this. But I almost wonder if Marvel's like we got to have everything be connected in the same universe prevents these bigger stories from being told, or these more. It's kind of like these stories that'll never really age. Where I don't know. It's hard to tell. But again, is that just the creators they're getting? I don't know. These days, who even knows? Every Marvel series is a miniseries now, so you'd think some of this stuff would stand out a little bit more.
Can I share a fun story from New York Comic Con since I never got to talk about New York Comic Con?
Yeah, whenever you would like.
So, since Tom King came out just a couple of minutes ago, at the panel that so famously we wouldn't talk about, Tom King kind of shared the story of how he joined DC, and he basically was talking to Dan, and he basically used the Vision kind of as a springboard, going, "Hey man, look, I did good, man. I won some awards, and I was doing really good for Marvel." And he goes, "Yeah, fuck them, do this for us." And so Tom goes, "All right." So as we know, he did Miracle Man.
Yeah. Well, Omega Man was the first. Omega Man and Grayson, right?
Yeah. But so he goes over there, and as history repeats, and he once again wins all these Eisner Awards, which we were there for, and seem him like him being Taylor Swift of the comic book industry, winning all these awards. And he goes, "Man, look, Dan, man, I did it again." He goes, "Yeah, now fucking do it again, please." And that's the story of Starman, or what's it's Starman, yeah. But I thought that
Adam
was
Strange,
Adam Strange. I'm sorry, but I thought that was kind of a funny story. How Dan is like, no, fuck that, do it again, do it again.
Not that Eisners necessarily mean quality, and not that Eisners necessarily mean sales. I mean, you hope they mean quality, but they judges have their own specific interests. It is. And I noticed this
because
every
otherwise
year.
we would have won.
Well, I noticed this every year,
Wink, wink.
but it seemed maybe because we were in the audience that it felt even more so this year. very DC heavy. I think Chip Zdarsky was the only guy from Marvel there.
Yeah, that's
right?
Yeah.
He was the only guy nominated. And he won. He won his first Spider-Man as Peter Parker.
Because Immortal Hulk didn't win anything.
I don't think any of those. If they were nominated, I don't think they were there. But there was a huge table of DC people there, nominated for all. Tom King obviously cleaned up, but they were nominated on all sorts of elements of the field, and it is that comes across in the comics where there is sort of a disconnect of these stories that will be readable in 20, 30 years. That Marvel kills the now, right? I mean, if you're a hardcore comic fan, like the continuity, the beat to beat every week, Marvel's obviously where you're at, but DC's mentality through the 80s, 90s, a little less so for a while, but now the refocus for these more self-contained long-form stories, again, like the TV shows and movies we were talking about. I love both. I just want them done well, whichever direction they tend to go. Yeah. So I would like it's a long way to get back around and answer the question. I would love to see Marvel do more of those, because I think they have been. Some of the Max books and Marvel Knights were my favorite Marvel comics in the past 20 years. And I think more of that.
Now, in the past 10 years, what Marvel book do you think will actually still be
Vision?
Readable? Yeah.
Vision, right?
Well, besides Vision, that's the easy one. Like, it's hard. It's hard, right?
I mean, a lot of people like
I would
Immortal
probably
Hulk.
say Thor.
A lot of people like Immortal Hulk. It did not click with me, but Immortal Hulk does seem to kind of be its own thing.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
I think Jason Aaron's Thor run, I'm a little burned out on it at this point, but it's
but
good.
I think 20 years from now, that's the only significant run that I can think of right now.
I mean, I think
besides, look, Vision is a special one-off.
I mean, you have Slot's run on Spider-Man.
We were all big fans of Superior Spider-Man, but take that out.
Yeah.
Does it read? I don't know. I don't think so.
I'll take Superior Spider-Man. I think that's going to be a remembered run. But like those big runs that Charlie collects the omnibuses off that I hunt down trades for.
Hickman's FF, Hickman's Avengers, Hickman's Avengers or X-Men. Yeah. Sure. I mean, that's as close as you've gotten in the last 15 years of Marvel. Is like that auteur creator.
But
right?
I think that's scary for Marvel.
It's just the one guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's why they wanted him back so badly, because he's the one guy that they know they can give the books to, and he can. Well,
that's also I mean, like as an art guy, I love the writers, but as an art guy too, there haven't been those memorable runs. Not really. Not at Marvel. I mean, sure, there's been good ones here and there. I'm not saying that, but those memorable runs haven't been there.
And I just know Bryce if he was listening to this podcast, he'd be rolling his eyes what I'm about to say. But this is as non-biased as I could possibly put it.
Do not bring up Frank.
The amount of people that I have heard from regular customers, people online, they're like, I love Marvel, but man, the art just kills me these days. Yeah.
It's like DC, like we talked about it.
They've got to do something about their art, man. DC it's really rough in a lot of their books.
There's got to be a bunch of hungry artists out there.
Yeah, well, DC with New 52 really kind of brought together like a house style to the books. Like, even if they had a fill-in artist, the fill-in artist tended to
for some of them,
try and stick with as close as possible to, not like it's an exact copy. I've enjoyed all the art in Justice League. I know, Kevin, you didn't enjoy a little bit of the art in Justice League, but I think overall it's been, you've enjoyed the art in that run. Whereas, like, I think Marvel, again, you have they catch you with those first 6 issues or the covers, but then it's like, they can't draw us past 6 issues, so we get another artist to come in.
The switch and bait on the covers has been really bad over at Marvel. I have to be honest about that.
That's always the way they do it.
From a I know we're going way long.
Yeah.
So the guy's question was from.
Wait, hold on.
The guy's question was
Comic Conspiracy. We're not going way long.
Was about from a creative aspect.
Yeah.
If I took it over from a non-creative, and I won't go into the details, I'm just saying this as a statement. My number one mission would be on the business side, new reader outreach.
Oh, yeah, sure.
I want to grow the audience in between little kids and middle-aged men.
Well, so going back to kind of like that new reader thing is Goodreads just did their final voting for the books of the year, and Cami Garcias.
Yeah.
Raven, Teen Titans Raven is up there in the finalists, and I'm like, those ink books really did do something. I think for bringing new readership into DC.
Well, we talked about this. Marvel signed a deal with Scholastic to do original graphic novels. That's
great.
You can't get any bigger than that.
Yep.
So that's a huge
Keep it
new
going.
market.
Yep.
All right, that is it. You should have already heard because we kind of recorded this stuff out of order, but we probably started the podcast here with a great interview. So make sure you already checked that out.
So you're promoting something that's already happened.
Yes.
Okay.
Who do we interview?
I'm reminding myself.
Who do we interview?
Timey-wimey.
Timey-wimey?
Yeah.
Yes, we interviewed the doctor. We interviewed the great doctor. We have all sorts of great Patreon people to thank. Thank you for your continued support. Joe Duff, Sam Che, Andrew Nelson Mendez at Recovery of an Anime Junkie podcast.
Keep going. Afterwards. Craig
Anderson at craigpanderson.com. Jimmy Rivera at the Social Forum podcast. That's Forum, F-O-U-R-U-M. They're at thesocialforum.buzzsprout.com. And James Laws, thank you for your continued support on Patreon. That's patreon.com/Comic Conspiracy.
Now, apparently today is like Patreon's Day.
What?
Like it's like
Patrons Day.
Patrons Day or something,
Yeah,
where
yeah,
everybody
yeah.
on has been like completely going ballistic, saying, recording videos. Thank you all Patreon people. Well, thank you all Patreon people.
Yes.
Period.
We thank you every week. Thank you, Patreon people.
Well, especially it's special
Yeah.
for today.
Every
special is every time.
every day is Patreon Day. Okay.
Give us the monies.
There's no Kids Day because every day is Kids Day. That's what my parents always used to tell me. ComicConspiracyPodcast.com,
Explains a lot.
Geekbox.net, and Apple Podcasts is where you can find all our previous episodes. Please rate and review us; it always helps. If you're on the YouTubes, you can go over to YouTube.com/comics.
I still think I hold all the hateful reviews on iTunes for like the last 6 reviews. I hate drunk Toby. That Toby is retarded. That Toby is there's some good ones on there.
I haven't checked in a while.
There's a lot of Toby hate on there.
YouTube.com.
It's all that Endgame episode, baby.
If you want hate, YouTube is a great place to find it. YouTube.com/comics.
Just let your shit autoplay.
The Comic Conspiracy at Geekbox.net is where you can send us some long-form emails, which we'll read in 5 to 10 years. Of course, comicsconspiracy.biz. That is the retail store's website. You can go on there, purchase comics that we have in stock, graphic novels, toys. Now, I don't want to promise anything, but
we're going to have a special guest.
we should.
Love the hub.
We should be having a Cyber Monday sale at comicsconspiracy.biz. The hub is in their final preparations of big updates on their 2.0, which includes a complete overhaul
I don't know, man. What were you complaining about the other day when I was visiting you on my lunch break?
of the sale system.
Uh-huh.
And that would allow us to push our sales onto the website as well, which when we do our in-store sales, we have like coupons and ways we can kind of fake it, but an actual way to push those sales. And if this is up for Cyber Monday, we're going to do it. That's the plan. Fingers crossed it's up.
Yay.
Comicsconspiracy.biz. And if it's up after Cyber Monday, we'll do it after Cyber Monday. Yeah. But
there's going to be a cyber sale.
They want to get it up for Cyber Monday, so keep that in mind. We got a week and a half or so. What did I say when you were here?
Oh, no, I was joking, man.
I don't remember.
It's all good.
I love sales.
You were complaining about a certain app that you use for your inventory.
App?
Yeah.
Comic Hub?
Yeah.
I was complaining about Comic Hub?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Comic Hub was crashing left and right, if that's what you're talking about. Yeah. But I believe I fixed it, and it wasn't Comic Hub.
It was Windows.
It was
excuses, my friend.
Well, would you rather I hate Comic Hub or Windows?
Oh, fuck Windows all the way.
Microsoft or Comic Hub?
Yeah, so. Well, no. Microsoft up in the butt all the way.
Up in the butt.
Yeah. So yes, it was a corrupted DLL file.
Go Comic Hub.
That I believe we repaired properly. So
it didn't crash on me Sunday.
It didn't crash yesterday or today. 2 days.
I rang up like a big sale today. Didn't crash.
Yep.
Again, I can't hate Comic Hub anymore since I met the dude. He's a nice fella.
FOC was perfect. Yep. So again, I think it's so good.
Wait, FOC's up now? It's live? You can do for FOC. Can we order when stuff goes on FOC?
Stop confusing the man. He's just trying to go home.
On Comic Hub?
Yeah. when there's an FOC, can we see what's on
Oh,
FOC?
you talking about the customer site?
Yeah.
No, not yet. Not yet. ConspiratorBrock.com. That's Brock's blog, video pull-ups, and unboxing videos. You can go follow him over there.
He unboxes it twice. It's a spoiler.
Wanderers in the Fourth Dimension. Charlie's Doctor Who podcast. You can check them out. They've been running for a long time. Every episode of Doctor Who in chronological order. And Etsy.com. Well, hold on. LeanneHill.com. That's my wife Leanne's website.
Just go
you
there.
Can go to there. You can go there and go to her Etsy store from there, which is etsy.com/shop/LeanneHillArt. If you are on Twitter, please follow us. Ryan Higgins, Ryan, Brock Sager, Larson Bryce, Toby. Wait, why did I say Larson Bryce?
Yeah, why?
I'm just reading the full list. Toby XI. That's Toby. Insanity and Chaos is Charlie. That Kevin Sharp is that Kevin Sharp. And Comics Con Store is the store. Please follow all of us if you like this.
And
use Twitter.
Matt Singer, who was on, is also on Twitter. So
Yeah,
you
just
should
Matt Singer.
follow.
All right. A Geekbox and the Manga Nation podcast, some other podcasts that we're involved with or have helped out with or are friends with. So you can check those out as well. Appreciate everyone that listens to the Geekbox.
You know what people are going to have to get prepared for on the Facebook group?
What's that?
End of the year surveys and end of the decade surveys.
What?
Yeah, well, we're going to do...
It's our first one.
Does the decade end 2020?
It ends. It's 20.
Does it end in 2020?
It's 2010 to 2019. It's 2010 to 20. Or it's 2010 to.
Not 2011 to 2020.
No.
Okay. Anyway, we'll figure it out. We're gonna have our end of the year episodes coming up in a couple weeks, so we'll prep you guys, get you guys vote us some stuff. That is it. Thank you. We are out of here. We'll see you next week.